the classified on the basis of physical state of situation. The solute-like compound in a colloid. The solute-like compound in a colloid. The solute-like compound in a colloid. The viscosing medium.
Very good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, very good evening to one and all present here. Today is a day 5 and the session 1 begins. I hope all everybody is doing fine. And today we have Miss Adira M. She is a Chief Technology Officer at Dr. Vision, seasoned data scientist with over 9 years of experience in computer vision and machine learning working in India and UAE. Adira's professional portfolio highlights a series of noteworthy achievements, notably in the realm of real-time projects, including the pioneer work in autonomous vehicle technology and autonomous checkout stores. She has been a featured speaker at numerous international conferences and prestigious AI universities. She was the first runner-up of Kerala chapter level finals of TIE Women Global Pitch Competition 2023. Presently, Adira is a forefront of the technological revolution at Docker Vision, spearheading the adoption of artificial intelligence to revolutionize the port operations. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. So
Yes, you
first of
can
all,
begin your session.
yeah, sure. So first of all, thank you so much for inviting me for the session. So let's start with the presentation. I'm sharing my screen. I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll start with a bit of myself. I'm Adira. I'm the co-founder and CTO of Docker Vision. So before starting Docker Vision, I'm a data scientist by profession. I did my master's in data science, which is computational linguistics from Government Engineering College, Srishnapuram. So I did my BTech and MTech there. And after doing my master's, I got into the field of AI. So after that, I worked in India and abroad in the same field. I started with text processing, speech processing. After that, I moved to image and video analytics. So that's how my journey started. After moving to the CV side, computer vision side, I've been working continuously on computer vision for almost like 5 6 years now. So working in computer vision, especially in UAE, like the main thing that attracted me while I was working in UAE was all the new technologies that are adopted very fast there. So I got an opportunity, which is one of milestone projects of my career, which is autonomous vehicle. I was working on the perception side of autonomous vehicle there. So where the real time detection or prediction or the processing is very important. So there is no point after detecting a person on the road and then applying the brake after 2 seconds, right? So that's the kind of project that I was doing there. After that, I got an opportunity to work in a German based company who does autonomous checkout stores. Like if you're familiar with Amazon Go, it is a kind of store where people will not be there and you can directly go into the store. There will be multiple number of cameras. You can just pick whatever products you want and then you can just walk away. You will be billed based on whatever things that you've picked. So that is another milestone project where I was working. So these two projects gave me a confidence that I can build something where real time technology or real time processing can be applied. So after that, after working for 4 companies, like two in India and one in UAE and one is a German based company where I was the consultant to the company. We started Docker Vision. So I partnered with my husband, and we started Docker Vision in 2021. So Docker Vision is an AI-based technology company focusing on container port automation. So usually when I say about container ports, people will not be able to relate much to ports because they have not seen or experienced. Say they will not be able to relate it. So usually, like I show a video where the truck is coming into the port, and like similar to toll gates, when the vehicle comes, your vehicle number plate will be read and automatically you will be deducted the amount and the boom barrier opens. Same way. So what we say is that it is like a on the go moment for ports. Like it doesn't have to stop in front of the gate. So not only we started with their gate process, but we moved to the rail side, we moved to the sea side. Like containers comes to the port by road, rail, or sea. So we help them in identifying the containers on the go itself. They don't have to stop in whichever means of transport, whether it's road, rail, or sea. It doesn't have to stop. We just extract on the go itself. So the real time technology that I was working previously helped me to build something at Docker Vision. So mainly we are doing computer vision and deep learning projects here. And later Gen AI came, LLM revolution came. So then like we have to be part of the new technologies that are coming in. So only then we'll be able to withstand the new revolution. So we'll have to go with the flow. So we tried like everyone else. We went and built some LLM based products. So this session is based on the experience that we had at Docker Vision. Like I have seen many companies building LLM based applications. So it is very easy for anyone to start building a LLM based application because you can use the available APIs, whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini or Cloud or anything. So you can just use their APIs and it's a good to go. You can build like very good projects in very less number of, I mean, less than an hour or maybe less than a day or something. So it's usually that simple, right? So everyone would have tried any LLM applications in their life till now. So whether it's translation or document extraction or image content analysis or content generation or anything. So here we'll be talking about extraction from documents or images. So how we can build a real world LLM applications? How can we move it from a POC stage or the successful demo stage to a production ready application? So what breaks in production? So this is something that we will be focusing on. So here in the session, I am specifically focusing on Gemini. So I will be talking about how Gen AI applications can be scaled in the production. So wonderful POCs will be running. Like I have talked to many other entrepreneurs in Kerala Startup Mission who are building LLM based applications. So the common problem that I hear from all the founders is that we will be able to give very good POCs. But at some stage, when the number of requests or number of the clients increases, it suddenly breaks. And the sad part is that you don't even recognize that the production system failed until the client comes and says that the system failed. But by the time you get the response back, it would be like so many hours wasted. Not only that, the cost and the over the period of years or the period of months you are providing the POC, you will slowly begin gaining the trust of the client. But once this goes into production, everything breaks and you lose the trust. So losing the trust of the clients is something very bad for any company. So whatever I will be explaining is from real battlefield experiences where we develop products, went into production, failed. So those kind of things, and how do we overcome it? So this will be the overall idea of this session. So as said, I'll be mentioning about Gemini. So when we are going to the production, the main problem is that we all know that Gemini or Cloud or GPT releases new models. Like the frequency of the model was long before, but now it is like once in 3 months they have a new model. The frequency has is like 3 months or maybe less than that. So every time a new model is released, your deployment breaks. So I don't know if you have deployed any LLM applications in production using Gemini. If yes, you would have come across this. So let's take an example of image extraction. So you have an image of any slip or something. Let's say that you have uh, a so some of the documents that we are using, like mainly it will be logistics documents. So other than that, any customer invoice, let's take invoice itself. So there is an image of the invoice which you give it to Gemini and extract the results. So the output of the extraction is you're extracting all the information along with the quantity, item descriptions, everything. So when new model gets released, you didn't change anything, but your code breaks. So this is one thing. When new model comes, the old model's performance get degraded, and you not get the exact results that you were getting before the release. Suddenly your accuracy drops, and you get to know this only when clients come back to you and say that, see, this is not working. So what do? You will be in a hurry to fix everything. You will rewrite all the code, everything, and your lot of hours are wasted. And another thing is that when you're migrating from Gemini 1.5 to 2, the cost increases. So unexpected costs rise, and our man hours is also wasted because something which is already working fails in production because of the new model release. So this is a common scenario with Gemini models. So it will work perfectly because when you're giving the POC, it'll be a period of 15 days to 1 month or something. During that time, everything will be very smooth. But once it goes to production, you get requests from all their clients because when you're giving POC, it will be just for one location or one client. But when it goes to production, if the same client has multiple locations, it will be scaled, it will have an exponential growth. So that time when multiple hits come to your application, and this happens. So when the model is changed and you didn't know that, like each model whenever they release it, there is a deprecation time for the previous model. So by that time, if you didn't know that the previous model has deprecated, you will get a 404 error. So only if you get an error and it is raised by the client, you know that okay, the previous model was deprecated, and then you go back and fix 1.5 to 2, but the output format changes. The extracted output is not what you wanted. Then client's systems collapses because whatever you're developing and giving it to the client, for example, if it's an XML format or JSON format, it will be already integrated to your client's application directly. It fails because the
அதுக்கப்புறம் கலர் பிக்சர் பம்கின்
sorry.
Nothing, madam. Actually, it's a noise.
Okay, yeah.
You can
So-
continue, ma'am.
Okay, yeah. So the accuracy drop and the model not found error, everything comes one night, and since then it will take like 1 or 2 days for us to completely make the system up and running. Till that time, what do you tell to the client? So all these things are there. So as per the report, 30% of Gen AI projects fail because something, if you are not able to monitor something, if you're not able to monitor something, then how do you correct it? The main problem with LLM model is that you don't know why it is giving the answer like that. So then how do you fix it? So that is the main reason why the Gen AI projects fail after the POC, because till POC everything works. Like I heard I've talked to many people who build wonderful products with Gen AI, but when it goes to productions, they're not able to make money out of it. So that is one hard truth. And also, when they're changing the model, the data quality or the data output, even if it is the same image, the output quality and the OCR result differs. Another thing is that when they change to 1.5 to 2, the infrastructure changes. And also the number of tokens, input token, output tokens, the prompt that you are using for Gemini 1.5 doesn't work with 2. So these kind of issues are uncontrolled. If you can't control these things, then how do you build a production grade LLM application? So if you have any doubts, means you can stop me in between. So yes, as I've mentioned, each model retires and our code is binded directly to the exact Gemini model. So if that model deprecates, you get 404 errors. It is not found. Your code breaks. And the response structure of 2 is different from 1.5. So whatever code or the business logic that you've built breaks. All the requests that are coming in fails, and you get a lot of escalations from the client. So that's when you have sleepless nights. And also the cost for each model, they are increasing it in an exponential manner. So if you compare the costing of Gemini 1.5 to 2 to 2.5 and 3, it is like an explosion. So if you have already built a LLM application in production, how do you go and tell the client, like initially you were giving it for 10 rupees and suddenly after moving it to Gemini 3, your cost that you have to give it to the Google Cloud provider is 15 rupees. Then what do you benefit from that application? So you will not have revenue out of it. So it is like a 2 times or 3 times increase overnight. And you never know this until you track it. So this is a real problem with any models. So the reason why all these errors are happening is that your code is tightly coupled with the Gemini model. Your business logic is tightly coupled. And also, like whenever the new model releases, it's not backward compatible. So if a Gemini model 2.5 is released and 1.5 is about to deprecate, you will have no other option than to migrate to Gemini 2. It is not backward compatible. So you will anyway have to rewrite your application so that it works with Gemini 2. So what if in each 3 months they're releasing a new model, means by the time you'll have a very bad time because you'll have to rewrite the entire code. So imagine initially with when you're using 1.5, you had 3 clients, and when 3 released, you have 10 clients, you will have to rebuild everything. So that is a nightmare for any LLM applications in production. And as I mentioned, like suddenly whenever the new model releases and it fails, and you identify that when the client says, then they lose trust on us. It's simply that your application is not working, but we would have spent like countless number of hours fixing this. But we cannot go and tell that, see, Gemini released 2.5, so that's why this is not working, because that's not the kind of answer that they are expecting. When you're giving a solution to the any client, they're expecting that to be available 24 by 7. So then you lose the trust. Another thing is that the cost, like if it increases twice or thrice, like you would have signed the agreement like 1 year back, then how do you survive? There's no other option than to stop the application. Then you have a bad reputation. So now, how do we overcome it? So this is like a summary of what I have been mentioning. Another thing that I would like to say is that there are some cases in which if you're using the same model, like if you're using 1.5 itself, some days back it was working properly, but the same image with the same prompt with the same model, if it will yield different kind of results. There are situations like that also. That is like a very very red zone for us. So only only thing to identify is that you should have a proper report or proper tracking of what is going in, what is going out. Like everything has to be documented, otherwise we'll not have any idea. The main problem with LLM model is that no guesswork will work. We need the data to speak. So for that, we need to map each model, each prompt, the number of tokens, that is input tokens as well as the output tokens, everything. Unless otherwise we don't have these things, we'll not be able to say that why this model breaks in production and why we are getting such a huge cost from the cloud provider. So how do we overcome it? So as I mentioned, our business logic or the code is tightly coupled with the model. So we should not hard code, or we should not club these two together. There should always be an abstraction layer between your code and the LLM model. So for example, if you're the example that you're taking is that you're extracting some invoice image. So the extraction, that is the business logic, and you need some expected output. So the business outcome is some expected formats, whether it's JSON or XML, that needs to be integrated to the client's application through API interface. So your code will be the first layer, then there will be an application layer or the abstraction layer, and that will be communicating to your model. When your code and the application combines and it is talking directly to the model, then we have a problem. So usually, like whenever a client comes up with any requirement, they'll need it like, if you can give it tomorrow, it is most welcome. So they don't need any product to be developed, like we take time and then develop it and then we give it. No, there is nothing like you can take time and build it. Otherwise we should have an application which is working perfectly. But when you get an request from the client, like, see, I need this kind of application, means it will always be, can you do it in 1 day or 2 days? So within 1 or 2 days, building an application, that too doing the optimization, everything is like very big challenge. So usually what we'll do, we'll make something which works and we'll see all the optimizations later. So that's what we usually do, right? Because we don't have time. So at that point in time, your code, application layer, everything is just one long code. But when your POC stage succeeds, then you think that this works. And then you move the same code to production. And when it breaks middle of the night, you understand that this is not the way like how you should do it. And majority of the cases, we don't have time also to build a proper application in the proper format. So whichever is working, don't touch it. So that's the kind of attitude everyone else has. So what we do? Initially, we were also going through the same thing, because when we developed the application, it was like, please build it fast. We have to do the testing, we have to do the integration, we have to go live in 1 month. So we will build it. And suddenly, not suddenly, after the POC stage, we failed miserably, and then we understood this is not the way how to build it. And we were talking to different people, like, how do we fix this? Everyone has the same problem. Then we understood that this has to be splitted, and your model should not talk to your business logic in a coupled manner. So that's when we decided we will break this into three. So your code and the abstraction layer, and the abstraction layer talks to your model. So imagine if they release different models like 1.5 to 2.5 or anything, you just have to change only that part where model is changed. So that swap will be instant. Your business code or the business logic is not changed. So first thing is that we have to have an abstraction layer. So similarly, you need to have an abstraction layer. The output that you are expecting from the model is not raw text, right? We need some kind of formatted text. So the cost, the input tokens, the Gemini versions, everything impacts the application. And when you do like this, you're switching the model, everything happens easily. Another thing is that, like, usually when different models are released, we just give Gemini 1.5 latest. But so if you have built any YOLO models or something, which is very easy to build also, like Ultralytics version, I mean package, if you have heard of, it is very easy for us to train model using YOLO. So YOLO releases new different versions, right? So whenever they release a new model, there will be increase in speed, accuracy. Like if you have to do edge inferences, it is easy to do with, now they have released YOLO 26. So it's easy for us to try out different versions. So when you're training a model, imagine you've trained one model today, and then you have annotated some 100 or some 10,000 images, let's say, and you have a new model. So which detects, for example, you are creating a model which detects person. Okay. So after 2 days, when you have additional 10,000 annotated images, you would probably create a new model, right? So then you have a new model for the same person detection. So earlier one was, let's say that you given it a name V1, and next one is V2. So similarly, you will replace the model name in your code, right? Gemini also does the same thing. So 1.5, there will be so many versions of 1.5 itself, which will have a version number. So we cannot always use Gemini 1.5 latest. If you use latest means internally they're continuously improving their model. So you can see that, like for example, this is the number 2025 0107. So something like this always will be attached to the model versions. But when you give latest, what happens? Which is the latest version, that will be overwritten by the model. So you don't even know what is the exact version that you will be using in your code, because when you give latest, whenever they have a latest update for the same 1.5 or 2 models, it will be overwritten, because new models when they're released, it will always be in a preview state. In preview state, everyone does the testing, and that's how they move the preview state to the production state. So by that time it would have gone many iterations. So we should never use model names like latest. We should exactly name the Gemini versions. So if you pin the latest version or with the version number, you will always be using the same model only. Whenever they have a new update, you will not even know that this model has changed. So we don't have to worry about if the model has changed or if there is any new iterations to the model. So another thing is that when a new iteration comes to the same model, like 1.5 itself, the output changes. And it is sad that the output changes, but it is the truth. but monitoring that will be a very big task. Another thing is that the prompt that you're using. The prompt that we are using for 1.5 doesn't work for 2. That is also a sad reality. But unless and until you try out and figure out that it is working or not, you never know. Because the same prompt was working for the Gemini previous model. So what do you assume? It should work with Gemini 2, but it will not. So what to do for that? We have to version our prompts. Whatever prompt that we are using for Gemini 1.5, we have to version it. We have to store it in Git or anywhere. So when you're moving to Gemini 2, you have to version it again. So you have to maintain, like, by analyzing that, you will understand the trends, like why it works, why it doesn't work. And there are different other parameters also, like the temperature. Like you would have already used these things. Like if you're using the application means, then there is no need for changing all these things. But if you're using any cloud consoles for building any applications, if you ever have an account in Google Cloud, it's free actually. Like you can create an account, and for some $100 or something, it is free. So you can just go to the console and you can change these values: temperature, top K, max tokens, everything. You can just play with it. And there is also a new thing that has come in, that is the thinking quotient. So that is for the old models, it was not there. But for the Gemini 2, 2.5, everything, this thinking quotient is also there. So if you make thinking quotient to the maximum, that is 25,000, you will be charged more, and the time taken for the processing increases. So the for example, if you have just one page and you expect that result to come in maybe 3 seconds, okay, so when 2.5 is released, you change the thinking quotient to 25,000, and you give the same image, which is one page, but the result which you were getting in 3 seconds earlier, now you are getting it for 15 seconds. Because when you're giving high thinking quotient, it goes into deep thinking mode and it analyzes everything and then gives the result. So even if the one page has like maybe one item or something, even then your results will take 15 seconds, which is not acceptable, to be honest. Because I've heard clients coming and telling me, see, your system, when it is having 15 pages, it is giving the results in 30 seconds, but when it has 2 pages, then also it's giving 30 seconds. This is not something that we are looking for. And when you're thinking from the client side, they're right, but what to do? Like how do you reduce it to the same 6 seconds or maybe 6 to 7 seconds that you are getting earlier? When model is released to a higher version, then there is no going back. You have to adjust the thinking quotient to a minimum. What happens when you adjust the thinking quotient to the minimum? The results will not be consistent. Let's say that when you're running at this moment, when you hit your application, you'll get one result, and then you hit with the same image again, you get a different results because the thinking quotient is less. So clients always need 100% accuracy. Even if we say that even ChatGPT and Google doesn't work properly, they accept it. But when we are giving the application, they need 100% results. So this is also something like becomes a very big barrier for LLM based applications. So yes, the Gemini configs for each model, whatever temperature, whatever top K, max tokens, everything that you are using, input tokens, output tokens, the number of, I mean the prompt, everything you have to version it and save it. So you have to make all these things auditable so that you will be able to analyze all these things so that you can fix them. So without accountability, you cannot build a LLM based application. I mean, you cannot maintain an LLM based application in production. So another thing is that canary deployments for Gemini, not for Gemini, any LLMs. So if let's say that you have 100 clients, and when the new model gets released, what do you do is that test with 5% of the clients. If that goes well, then move to 25% of the clients. If that is also going well and you don't have um, clients coming in saying that your system is not working and all, like you test it for a week or so, then you move to 100% clients. And when you move to 100% of the clients, and if something happens wrong, you can do the instant rollback. So it should be like a button click. It should not take for so much time for you to roll back to the previous model when this canary deployment happens. So canary deployments is one another method how you test the model and deploy. Once you deploy the new model to everyone at the same time, means it will crash, because each client is different, and whatever documents or images that they are processing is also different. So one thing which is working for one client doesn't work for another. So by doing canary deployment, you will be able to understand the pattern and follow the trends, and you should be in a position to do the instant rollback. Otherwise it will be very bad. So accountability is the main thing. So whenever you have a model trained, so since I'm working in computation, that's why I always go to the CV models like SSD, mobile net, or YOLO. So you already have a ground truth labels, and how is the accuracy calculated? You will compare what is the matched percentage, like F1 score, precision, recall, everything, right? So similarly for the LLM models, you have to maintain ground truth versus extracted, and you need to analyze the results for the accuracy. Whenever a new model comes, you can track others. One more thing, you can track the deprecations. So whenever a new model is released and the other model is deprecated, like it will be deprecated in maybe 1 month or so, so you will know that when that model is deprecated. So by that time, you can build your pipeline. You can test your data on the new models, let's say 2.5. So you already have a ground truth. You already have the extracted text. Compare these things and how much percentage it is matching. If the accuracy is not matching, then it is a red signal. So then you need to analyze. Again, another thing is that the token usage. So as I mentioned earlier, the cost is like 3x for new models comparatively. So you need to understand the number of tokens, input tokens and the output tokens, and you have to log them for each document or the image, like what is the input tokens and what are the output tokens per request. If you log that properly, you will have a clear understanding of what is the cost that is going to come for me when I move to the next model. Another thing is the API time. Like I said, with the thinking quotient, it takes more time for processing. So you have to track what is the latency, what is the processing time, and what is the post processing time. Everything have a we have to log it somewhere. And this one I have already mentioned, like same prompt and same image, but it yields different results. So all these things are different observable things for each Gemini model. So you should have a proper data set where you have the extracted text as well as the ground truth, and you have to compare all these things, then you have a fair idea. And these can be automated also. You don't have to sit and verify all these things. Once you have this data, you can always automate the process of accuracy comparison, everything. So this is the cost strategy for Gemini. Since I worked with many real-time technologies, like real-time, what goes well is that if you have multiple number of cameras for processing, we do batch processing. So in GPU, if you're doing batch processing, means like comparatively it gives the real-time result. The time taken for one image is always comparable to batch processing. So for LLM based applications, you cannot do real-time processing because it's time taking. So what you can do is that you can decide what to do and when to do. So you should have a slab for different kinds of images or documents. So if it's like one page or two page with very minimal content, then you can go for a lower version model. But if the document is complex, you can move to a recent one. So the recent ones are always costly. So make decisions wisely, like what to use and when to use. And if the clients allow, like if they don't want instant results, like if they have documents which comes to them by mail, we can always have our application which fetches the data from the mail, and you will give the result to their application or DB directly. In that case, they don't always need the result in real time or near real time. It's not like maybe after 1 hour or something, if they get the result is also fine. But some clients, if they upload itself, they need the result. So in that case, you can go for the first one, where you can select the models based on the complexity of the document. And for the second kind of client, what you can do is that you can do batch processing overnight. So this way you will be able to reduce the cost. And also, like we have to monitor for each client, what is the prompt that you're using, so what is the cost that is coming for each client. If there is a sudden spike in any of the clients cost, then it is a red sign. So that has to be updated. You need to have a dashboard kind of thing, or any telegram bot or WhatsApp messaging, so that you will get to know instantly when all these things happen. So cost is something which is a very big concern for any startup, not only startups, for any companies. So when your cost is greater than the revenue that you are getting, means then there is no point building it, right? And you cannot go and charge the customer based on the number of tokens, which they will not agree, because that is not something that they will be able to track. If we are saying that okay, we charge based on the number of pages of the document, means they'll agree. But usually if it's based on the number of tokens, means who will count the token, like when they are uploading some image or document, like how many number of tokens are there in the document, that's not something that they will monitor. So we cannot go for a payment terms in that kind. But if you go for something in per page or usage on the basis demand, will not be able to get revenue as much, because the cost increases with all the new models. So whenever a new model is released, we have to have a fallback mechanism, so that even if we are giving the less accurate results, it should not fail. I mean, your application should be up and running 99.9% of the time. So you should have an architecture where you have a primary model. So let's say that 2.5 is released. So, and 2.5 is the most accurate model that you have used. You have tested and found that 2.5 is best for your application. So you need to have your primary model as 2.5. And when that breaks, then you have to go to a lower model. So that has to be, there has to be this business logic applied. Then if that also breaks, let's say that that is also not working, you're getting a 404 or something, or any error, okay, any error, so that your results are not coming. In that case, you should have a local model, like any open source model that is available, that has to be hosted. And if these two fails, then your local model should work. But this open source model accuracy will not be equal to the cloud models, Gemini or GPT. But still, you will get a result. You will not give error. So the downtime for your application can be reduced. It's always necessary that your application should be up and running 99.9% of the time. If it breaks, imagine that 500 plus requests are coming in 1 second, and it is giving 404 for everything. That is not the kind of applications that clients will be looking for. Even if the accuracy is less, you should be returning the result, because LLM is not completely perfect, right? Like everyone knows that. So there should be a human in the loop who does the validation. So you need to have that fallback chain for models. You need to select the primary model, secondary model, as well as the fallback model. The fallback model can be any open source model. So as I mentioned earlier, you need to have a proper process in place, so that when you get a request, you need to have a proper architecture. Without an architecture, all the LLM application fails in production. So architecture is the baseline of LLM applications, and you know that what is your business logic, what is your expected results. So understand all the failure scenarios first. You need to have 100 plus percentage clarity that your system will fail. So account for failure, and we should have that thought process in mind to build production grade LLM applications. You need to have the proper route map of your API requests coming in. So when there are like hundreds of requests coming in, how do you group it? Like you give 90 percentage to one model, rest 10 percentage to another model. Like there should be a load balancer, and then you understand like which works for which model, and based on that it should be activated. Your business logic should not talk to the model, I mean should not be coupled with the model. It should be talking to just model instance, but business logic doesn't know which model it is working. So based on these things, you need to know what all metrics that has to be tracked, and you have to build your architecture such a way that it works. Either it works 100%. If it fails, you need to have the instant rollback. So this whole architecture, you have to build it properly. Once the architecture is set, then the number of chances of failure of LLM application in production can be tracked. So I'm not saying that it can be avoided. No, it cannot be avoided, but you can track and prevent majority of the cases. So for that, you need to have a proper architecture. So what is the real world impact? So these things I've mentioned earlier. Without the proper architecture, your incident reporting will be like very long after the issues are happening, because your client tests and finds out that this has happened. Like by the time, so much hours are lost, money lost, everything, trust breaks, cost is like very big spike, and then sometimes the client, you lose the contract, they don't come back to us again. And the main thing is that if it doesn't work for one client and they move away, like they'll have connections with all other clients, so neither of their clients will also come to us. That is also one thing, because like in any industry, if your customer is satisfied, they go and market your product to other clients. But if your client is not happy with the product, it works in the opposite way also. So here, with the proper architecture, we'll be able to give 99.9% of uptime. We will be able to predict what goes in and what goes out. We'll be able to gain the client's trust, And also the main thing is that if something doesn't work, you will be able to roll back instantly. So that is the main thing. When you have a proper understanding of all these things, like whatever I've discussed, if we have the data, it speaks. So we'll be able to understand. Otherwise, like if you're not logging any of these things and just assuming or doing the guesswork, then things doesn't work. So we need to have the abstraction model. We need to version everything. We need to version the models, prompts, config. We need to have the incremental deployment using canary pattern. We need to understand what works for each client, what doesn't works. And also we need to measure everything so that we can fix everything when something fails. And also we can understand when it is going to fail. So that's the most important thing. So when you're building an application, within 1 month, how you can build a LLM application, a stable LLM applications in production. First of all, the main thing is that client should not come and tell you that I need something, build it in 2 days. So if that is the case, then it will fail in production. For us, we have learned it the hard way because there was no time, and then we somehow tried to fix it properly by one one of the main resources that we have is that we talk to different founders who are building in the same domain. It may not be the same kind of application, but they all are using either Gemini or ChatGPT or any models. So the problems are the same, only the application is different. So everyone talks, and the information that we're getting from them is very beneficial for us. So this is the 30-day action plan for any LLM application. First, we have to have an understanding of all the models, whatever versions, what all are the prompts that we are using, what works for different kinds of documents. If you're handling only invoice means, then that is also like manageable. But if the documents are of different kinds, like airway bill, shipping bill, or any other document like invoices, anything like the as the different kinds of documents comes, then all these things will become very important, because it's like a in the production stage, when something breaks, you don't even get to sleep. So that's when it becomes scary. So if you're building an application, please make sure that all these things are done properly. So you need to have a abstraction layer so that you can just swap your models, so that the business logic doesn't know which model it is talking to. And you need to have an idea of what goes in and comes out, so that you can decide what should be the costing patterns, what cost you should sell for, what will be your revenue. Like if the model next model releases, how are you going to get revenue out of it? And another thing is like the processing time or the latency. How much time difference is it for the new model? What is the previous model processing time? Everything. And as you scale up, whenever a new model is released, first test it properly and then do the deployment. So before doing it for all the clients in one glance, what you can do is test it with 5, 10, 20, like whatever possible ways, and then go for the 100% deployment. And if something fails, do the instant rollback. So from my experience and the experience talking to other people who have been doing LLM based applications in the same area, why 30% of the applications fail is that anyone can build Gen AI based applications. It's very easy. And it is very easy that sometimes, like I've heard many um, tutorials, YouTube tutorials and all, like AI agents building any applications, you can do it in 10 minutes. So it is that easy. Like they're not lying when they're saying it can be done in 10 minutes. But the problem is that how do you maintain it in production? So anyone can build GenAI system, but only few of them can run them reliably in production. So that is where the advantage comes in. So when you're building something, you need to have a clear idea that it is going to fail in production. How can I avoid it? So this is something that you should always have in mind, so that you will search all the possibilities, like where it goes wrong and whatever can be done, so that it runs properly or smoothly without giving any errors. Like even if it doesn't work, how do we give minimal result with less accuracy? If you have all these things in mind, then we can build a production ready LLM application. So you need to have the proper architecture. As I mentioned earlier, architecture is everything for any LLM based application. If you have your architecture everything set, then the chances of failure can be reduced from 70% to 10%. But that 10% of the cases, we can have some kind of automation so that it runs. So we will be able to handle it in a very neat way, so that client doesn't complain. So this is all about the presentation. Thank you so much. If you have any doubts or questions, I'm open.
Thank you, ma'am. So it was a very interesting session, especially related to a very, especially from the person who is directly implementing or dealing with the computer vision algorithms in the industry. So, first of all, madam,
Yes.
um, in shipping logistics, how this supply chain logistics, especially it's a very crucial infrastructure, I believe, especially
Yes.
it is
Yes.
related to even global economy.
Yes.
So, uh, so how many currently in your companies mainly dealing
Hmm.
in India or like outside the ports? Like what kind of? It's a
We deal
completely
in both
port
India.
management system,
Yes.
like a ERP in a
No, no,
business, just like a ERP for a port, something like that.
no.
No,
We're not.
we're not.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear. Yeah.
Yeah, we are not developing any ERP for the ports because they already have TOS, which is terminal operating software. So every port has TOS. So majority of them are using TOS provided by a company called Navis. It is a very big company, and it is like it's been there for almost like 30-40 years now.
Okay.
So what we are doing is that we are doing the automation for ports. So
Hmm.
mostly 96% of the ports worldwide are doing paperwork, because
Hmm.
whenever a truck comes in at the port gate, I can show
Okay.
you a video so that it will be easy for you to understand.
Hmm. Because it felt very interesting, like how this computer vision is dealing with this kind of crucial infrastructure and all.
Yeah, I can show you a video because it's always better to show the video while explaining.
Okay. Okay.
Screen is visible, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a gate and it is in UAE. So this is in Sharjah port. So you can see that the truck is moving and the camera is here. If you can see my cursor, the camera
Yeah.
is, it is fitted in this kind of structure where there'll be six number of cameras for each side, top, front, and rear. So
Okay.
it's not playing. So when the truck goes, it is not stopping at the gate. but you can see the results in real time. Like what is the container, what is the vehicle, what kind of goods it is carrying inside. Is there any dangerous goods?
Hmm.
What is the seal? Is the seal is intact?
Okay,
If
okay.
there are damages on any sides of the container, so you can see that the next truck moved and it is not stopping, and we are giving the results in real time. So this is integrated to the ERP of the ports.
Okay, okay.
So this is the gate side. So similarly, the containers come by rail also. So when they are coming by rail, like it can handle up to 90 kilometer per hour speed.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
So in that scenarios, what we are doing is that we identifying the wagon number, the Indian Rail wagon number, along with the containers for each wagon, what all are the containers in that particular wagon. We identify it in the proper sequence by placing camera in the railway track.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
And for the seaside also, when ship comes and the container is picked by a crane and it is put to a truck. So at that moment, when the crane operation is happening, we identify the container as well as the vehicle along with the damages, seal, what are any dangerous goods are there inside the container, everything.
Okay, okay. So, madam, so I think in the ports and all, there will be lots of very harsh environments like
Yes,
rain,
yes,
fog, like maybe night operations
yes.
and all. So, how your vision models are maintaining the accuracy during this kind of extreme weather conditions?
So we have trained our model in diverse kind of scenarios. So initially, when we started Docker Vision, for the initial 2 years, we were giving free trials to many of the ports, and we collected the data, and that's how we were continuously developing the product.
Okay.
And we don't have a canopy or any kind of structure in the port. I mean, the camera
Mm-hmm.
structure. It is without everything. Like in the video I showed you, right?
Yeah.
So similar way, it works without canopy in different
Mm.
weather conditions. We have tested in Kerala's weather conditions like a heavy rain and all.
Okay. What about this kind of is it only depending on vision-based approach, or do you use this kind of LiDAR or radar, AIS, these kind of other sensor data?
No, we use only camera.
Only
And
camera. Okay.
we
Okay.
have developed a software which works with any hardware. The main problem with any AI based computer vision is that like they need a specific hardware for their software to work. So many of our competitors who are mainly from European countries, their
Okay.
product comes with hardware and it is very costly. So
Mm.
our aim was to develop a software which works with any hardware, any camera or any device.
Okay, okay. So what about the latency, madam? Like camera capture to the action. So that inference latency, do you use any edge
Yes.
devices or any?
Yes. So we
Oh,
use edge devices for processing. We have recently fine-tuned our application to work only in Intel device. We don't need even NVIDIA GPU. So initially we were working with only Intel plus NVIDIA, but now it is like just Intel alone, and it is like a
oh.
size of modem, I would say.
Okay, okay. I mean, Intel device in the sense like where it is using Intel, like which Intel processor or any specific GPU or
No, GPU is not there. It is Intel with inbuilt GPU. Intel's
oh,
GPU, Arc, or there are
oh,
different.
ARC. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
So
So
there are.
this Intel it will it's using probably this kind of a neural processing unit NPUs and all Intel
So
NPUs and all
yeah, so there,
accelerators.
yes. So accelerators are not there in that particular device which we have optimized, but there is a possibility of integrating NPU as well.
So Intel Arc GPUs then.
Yes.
Okay, okay, okay. So so in okay, I got it. So madam, how much this to build this kind of system, this kind of how much training it is required, that model training and all, because it's a real port data. So
Yes.
this kind of synthetic data or simulated data and all
We have
might.
not used simulated data because it's completely from different kinds of ports that we've
Okay.
built. So we have used like 200,000 images for training
Oh, okay, okay.
because we have collected over a period of 2 years. The
Hmm.
main problem with us was like the container data, the real data is not available online because for any other kind of classes, it's available online. You can download it, but the container data, because it comes under the uh, ports, which is customs area, they don't even allow us to get picture or take a photo or anything. So
Hmm.
you have to go there and fix camera and then collect the data, but
Okay.
by getting approvals.
Mm-hmm. So it's I think very challenging situation. Like how your team get into this specific sector? What about in Kerala? Do we have any very competitors or like?
Kerala, no. In India itself, it is very less. Mostly are from European countries because i- the main problem is that like any AI application is costly, right? Like now it has the cost has like just reduced. It is in the like movement, I would say. Like earlier, it was not like that. So ports are when they're considering any automation, cost is a very big concern for them. So for India,
Mm-hmm.
but European countries, it's not a problem. But now in India itself, only the Vizhinjam port is semi-automated, but rest
Okay.
everything are paperwork.
Mm. So, madam, when you said you try to train with a lot of data and all, but what about some rare events like collisions? I heard this containers got slipped or
Hmm.
collision between each. So, how your model trained for that kind of events? It is very less likely occur, but still.
No, actually, like collision and all, we that's actually not our use case. What we are doing is that in different means of transport, whether it's at the port gate or the rail side or the seaside, when they are entering or exiting the port, we do the identification. We
Mm.
identify the containers and the truck plus the container information.
Mm.
So slipping everything happens inside the port, right? So that comes under the yard operations.
Mm. So when you build this system,
Hmm.
what do you felt more harder? For example, the technical deployment or that adoption of your technology with the organization? I mean, port operators and all. Which part you felt very challenging in the beginning?
Initially, main challenging part was getting inside port, like to get an
Okay.
entry into the port to fix the cameras. That was the most challenging part. But
Mm.
it took like six months or so to get just one appointment, and after that we build the product. And the next thing was like we being a startup, and the companies that we are approaching is that DP World, Adani, JM Bakshi, those are like very big shots. So if
Mm.
we go there and present, they don't consider us seriously, like even though we have a very good product, for for trying our product itself they need to spend like 3 4 lakhs because the hardware, camera setup, everything has to be done from their end, right? So that
Mm.
was a challenging part. So we gave everything for free, and that's how we build the trust that our system works. So
Mm.
once that trust is built, then things will become easy.
So when you given the system for free or so those initial infrastructure or operational cost and all your team got any funding or initial investors or something at that
Yeah.
time?
So at that time we were getting grants from KSUM, Kerala Startup Mission. But
Mm-hmm.
other than that, I was having a part-time job also. So
Okay.
initially I was the only one building, so we didn't have a team. So we
Oh.
were just the founders only. And
Mm-hmm.
after 2 years, I think 2.5 years only, we started hiring people. So that's when we got the investors. We have two investors, and
Mm.
then recently we got 1 crore grant from Cochin. Um,
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah,
Congratulations. Yes, yes.
thank you. So
Uh,
IIT Madras plus Cochin Shipyard gave us the grant. So that's how, and we have revenue from other streams.
okay, okay. So this basically the where the like a computational cost or even a data labeling cost also might face, like when you scaling the product, like which cost is more constrained right now, like what you felt?
So now sales part is because we have tech team and all, and deployment also we have built the system in such a way that we can do deployment remotely within 45 minutes whenever we go to a new port. It is as simple as that, so we don't have any challenges with that. Like now it is like going to different ports, because in India itself, if all the ports will be in some remote locations, so going there, talking to the people, and then getting their confirmation. And in ports there are like hundreds of decision makers. You cannot go and talk to one person and they'll say okay, and then they use the solution. So it's that is the challenging part.
I heard this Chinese ports and all, they have a lot of autonomous system. I think a fully
Yes, yes,
autonomous port and all.
yes,
Is
yes,
it true? Like, is it
yes,
possible?
yes,
A fully autonomous
yes,
port and all?
yes, it is possible.
Okay, okay. So it's
We
not
also
not
have
a.
a new product which is digital twin of ports. So we
Oh.
have heard like, yeah, there are accidents happening in ports, and because of that so many people were killed and all, right, when they are handling
Hmm.
some dangerous goods. So
Yes.
what we have developed is that exact replica of the port, so that if they're handling any such accidents happen, within 2 seconds the people concerned will be notified. So
Okay.
that's one new product that we have built, we along with IIT Madras.
Oh, okay, okay. So it's like a digital twin.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So, so this like your company published any white papers or something regarding your any foundational models or something like that?
No, we have an IP. Other than that, we have not published any white papers.
Mm. So, how close your company or product to a, we can say, a zero human part, according to Dr. Vision's maybe future?
We complete port automation is our aim, and we are aiming to complete that by 2030. So we
Oh.
started with their gate, then we moved to rail, then we moved to the seaside. Now we have the digital twin. Now it is like we will be moving to the yard operations, and next thing is predictive maintenance. If something goes down, alert in very less time. So
Hmm.
if those things are done perfectly, means then by 2030 we'll go for complete automation.
Okay, okay. So, madam, all the best because it's a very challenging scenario. Even I felt like a Siemens or even
Mm.
Chinese companies, ABB. I think a lot of players
Yes.
will be there in the in
Yes.
this market.
ABB, they don't have the product, but they're collaborating with another Chinese company and
Oh.
then doing it.
Mm. So, like in a big, a lot of big sharks are there, but
Yes.
still swimming.
Surviving is very difficult.
Yes. So, madam, one last question for the young students. So, what kind of skill set or which is needed in today's world if they want to work in real industrial computer vision sectors and all?
So
What you are
earlier,
expecting?
for coding skills, I would say like earlier we should know what's index everything. Right now it is like you should know what LLM models you have to use to get the proper code, but you need to have a basic idea. If you just copy paste and put it, means it will never work, because whatever the code that is generated, like if we know the functioning, means then it's fine. Otherwise, if you just copy paste and then do
Hmm.
fine tuning on top of that, means it will not work. So you need to know how to use those LLMs, plus you need to have an overall idea. You need to have a logic, plus this all the AI tools, means then that is a good to go, I think.
Mm. One more question, madam. When it comes to entrepreneurial point of view, what are some other sectors in where you felt like computer vision algorithms or through computer vision and edge computing infrastructure and all, where we can automate or make things more smoother in any other sector you felt
Yes, I
very
think retail is one very good area, and
retail.
retail, because compared to ports, it is like very niche area and the number of ports is also limited. But retail is not like that. Like overall, the world, retail is
Retail in the sense, so
like
example.
the supermarkets. Like
Oh.
usually, like even if you go to Lulu, also the queue is very, like even if we are buying something, it is like we can do it in half an hour or something. But the queue, you have to wait there for 1 hour.
Mm, mm, mm,
So
mm.
similar kind of scenarios are there in the retail sector. So I think
It's
there are a
like
lot of,
some camera-based system in the trolley or
yes,
something, so we can
yes,
buy the
yes,
product and just show it in the trolley,
yes,
and it will be
definitely,
checked out or something
yes,
like that.
yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah. So something
So
like any other sectors like felt like some a lot of entrepreneur people are there in our this FTP community, so they
okay.
will get some small
Another
vision.
thing is like medicine is also medicinal field,
Oh.
like identification, that is also, but the thing is like accuracy is very
Mm.
important in that case.
Mm, mm, mm.
So we need to have a proper understanding of models, layers, architecture, and what is going
Mm.
inside a model. So you need to have the explainability of the computer vision
Oh,
models.
yes.
So that is also very important for medical field, because even
Mm.
if, for example, in ports, if even if one letter is different, that is not going to make a very big impact.
Mm, mm,
It's,
mm.
there will be a person. If this is wrong, means we'll send a notification that this is the number that we have captured. This is wrong. Can you please verify?
Mm,
But
mm, mm.
that's not the case of a medicinal field, right?
Okay. It's like I think in some foreign countries and all, like when you go into over the counter, then the system, the autonomous, the system only will be taking the medicine based on the purchase, and they will pack it and give to us. Like we don't need like that cases.
Yes. So I
Oh.
worked in the similar kind of project in that German-based company for the supermarket.
Okay, okay, okay. So anyway, madam, it was very interesting to have a conversation. Even it's very so much happy to especially it's working in a AI-driven port automation and all. It's like a very gold mine for us to have an interaction. So all the best, madam.
Thank
And
you.
let's give to other people. Have a lot of questions are there, I think, in the
Yeah.
chat. So we
Okay.
can address one by one.
Sure, sure.
Few questions are there from Dr. SP Pradeep Kumar. Hi, you said 30% of project fail. So how to solve these issues? What are the good ways? Can you explain?
So that's what I mentioned the whole session. Like there
Mm.
has to be some factors which you need to monitor, because
Mm,
if you're not monitoring any of those means, then there is 100% chance that the production fails.
mm,
Like
mm,
the input tokens that I was saying, the models versioning, the
mm,
the temperature, like there are different fields, I mean the parameters for each LLM model, top, k, max tokens. So you just have to play with it and identify what is working for your application, and based on that you need to have a proper formatting, and you need to maintain it in git or somewhere, so that you can reason it and find out what all are the reasons where the application will be failing.
mm, mm,
If
mm,
you understand where it is failing, only then you can fix it. But the other way is like you don't even know why your LLM is giving such kind of responses. In that case, it is difficult. So that's
mm,
why the projects fail. So you need to, for everything, you need to have a proper data maintained, and the
mm,
data should speak.
mm, mm, mm. And some another question, your logical steps, is it possible to implement?
Logical steps means,
Logical step means I didn't get exactly. Can you suggest any good real-time project? I think for the students and all,
Okay.
those who can understand computer vision and
Yes.
complexities and
We can um, so recently the government is coming up with lot of traffic management. That is a
oh,
very good momentum is it's creating. So what you can do is that in a junction, like where from different like four roads are coming at particular junction, what you can do is that there will be signal. You can just take a video from some height, so you will get the vehicles from all the sides. You can just mark the regions like of each road and find out which in which road there are more number of vehicles. So based on that, the traffic lights can be controlled. So imagine for one road there is only one bike, but for the other side there are like hundreds of vehicles are waiting. So there is no point the traffic signals are on for that particular side for 30 seconds. So in that way, like you can control the traffic lights intelligently using the analysis of that particular region. So that is
okay.
one, that is also a real time project, and the response should happen in real time.
Mm.
So this one, I think in Bangalore they have implemented it in one particular location, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm. And so any other questions? We can wait for a couple of more minutes. If you have any other questions, audience, please ask. Mm. Meantime, madam, like when it comes to your business, so basically, who is actually paying you? Like, is it the port authority or the terminal operators or
It
like
is terminal operator. Ports are
terminal?
handled by private bodies only. Government
Oh,
doesn't handle port. It is
oh.
operated by private. So
Mm.
operators pay us.
Okay. Even I think government also, I think having a lot of control. So government or shipping lines,
No,
they are not the customers.
no, they don't have control over the port operations. Port operations are only handled by the terminal operators, which are private parties like DP World,
Oh,
Adani,
yes.
and all. Like
Yes, yes.
even the Vizhinjam port, even it is handled by government, the operations are by Adani. So
Mm.
Adani is the decision maker there.
Mm. Yes, yes, yes. So this, you see, your pricing is based on like a per terminal basis or any outcome
No, it is based
based.
on the number of containers they handle. So
Okay.
the main reason why we have kept is that some port handles very less containers. So it should not be
Mm.
a burden for them. So it's like
Mm.
paper go.
Mm. Okay. So think no more questions. Mm. I think um, yeah, so I think we can slowly then wind up, madam.
Yeah,
So
sure.
anyway, it was very happy to have a conversation, and thank you. So Lakshmi, madam, let's conclude today's session.
Thank you, Adira ma'am. It was really a nice session. It was a great insight on the real world LLM application and also your project idea that is regarding that signals. You told that is already implemented in Bangalore. Hope it will be implemented in our Kerala also near
Yes.
soon. Really, we are recently facing this kind of an issue because
Mm.
when they are giving around 60 seconds for the crossings of the vehicles, and when one side is already empty, the other people are waiting for the signal to change. Of course, we
Yes.
really need this kind of some substitutions. Recently, even near our college also, when we were passing through, even I too thought about this thing. Okay,
Okay.
like they should have done something regarding this signal management.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you Thank you for your
Thank you so much.
session. Thank you, ma'am.
So it was a pleasure talking to every one of you. Thank you so much for the invitation and wish you all the very best.
Thank you, ma'am, and good night.
Good night.
Next, we will be having Sunil sir. I think Sunil sir is available, it seems. Yeah, Sunil sir is available.
Good evening. Yeah.
Good evening, sir. Shall we start the session, sir?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to have our 10th session of Atal FTP, AICTE online Atal FTP. We'll be having topic for the today's session is holistic development through addressing sustainable goals. At the root, certain environmental inventions using AI systems. The session will be handled by Dr. Sunil Kumar N, who is a professor and head of the Division of Civil Engineering at Cochin University College of Engineering, Kuttanad, Kerala, with over 26 years of experience in teaching, research, and academic leadership. He holds a PhD in structural engineering, computational mechanics from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, and is a recipient of Best PhD Thesis Award, NS Govinda Rao Medal. His research interests span computational mechanics, finite element and mesh-free methods, sustainable construction, and structural dynamics, and is also a certified UHV resource person. And he actively contributes as a facilitator and lead volunteer in AICTE, UGC, NCCIP UHV programs. Dr. Sunil Kumaran has published widely in reputed journals and holds an Indian patent guided and guiding multiple PhD scholars, delivered over 100 invited lectures, and is deeply engaged in societal and environmental development projects in Kerala. So, welcome you, sir. This is also, I think, the third time we are having a conference with Sunil, sir. It's very nice to have you again. And it's really honored to hear from you again another session that is very much related to something sustainability. So, welcome you, sir. The stage is all yours, sir, now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Srirashmi. And thank you, all the organizers of this Atal FDP. I hope my voice is audible to you.
Yes, sir.
I'm in a place where the internet availability is a little bit low. So please tell me when I'm not audible and when my screen is not visible.
Sir, one recommendation is, sir, if internet is weak, then you can even post a video. Then we can save some bandwidth. Then it
That
might
is true. That is true.
make the presentation smooth.
But is it okay now? For the time
Yeah, now
being?
it is fine. Now it is perfect.
Yeah. Whenever there is a loss of bandwidth, I will switch off my video.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Sure.
So I hope my screen is also visible to you, all of you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So thank you, Srirashmi, for that detailed introduction. And I congratulate the Royal College of Engineering, first of all, for conducting this kind of FDPs for the benefit of faculty members from across the country quite consistently. Every year, at least one such kind of workshop is there, or kind of FDP is there. Very nice. And I also take the privilege of associating with the college, particularly due to the initiation of Dr. Devi Balakrishnan, who was my teacher in NSS College of Engineering, Palakkad. And later she was the principal of this Royal College of Engineering, Thrissur. So, and after the initial introduction, I have been associated with the Royal College for many programs, at least 3-4 programs, including UHV2 FDP. So now I welcome all of you to this discussion on holistic development through addressing sustainable development goals, SDGs, at the root, certain environmental interventions which I have had in the past, and some of those proposals which I have submitted to the government of Kerala, which are addressing some of those sustainable development goals. Let us see that in detail. So what I wanted to present here is essentially this: the sustainable goals related to environment. What are the proposals of the sustainable development goals, and what is the current status of this? We will discuss that very briefly, and then we will see whether we are addressing the sustainable development goals, rather the problems which are related to the sustainable development goals at the root level or otherwise. So we discussed regarding the holistic approach to vision and implementation of these SDGs very briefly, and then we can discuss regarding some of the technological interventions which me and my university have had in the recent past, like some of the combining some of this indigenous construction of techniques for resilient structures. Certain case studies I'm going to present. Two case studies I try to address because this is a very short session, maybe 90 minutes is a very short duration, I think. So I try to present this pole wall construction. What are the interventions in that? And I see it in an environmental friendly way. Then one of the sustainable filter well for water bodies like ponds. Then I also will try to put forth some light upon the way forward in my perspective and also the perspective of the harmony in the nature. So can we have this engineering or otherwise solutions to environmental issues? Then I put forth some of the concluding remarks, particularly focusing upon the harmony in the nature. So I hope all of you are ready with listening to this content. So when you look at the sustainable development goals, the goals are proposed by the United Nations in 2015, as we all know. There are these 17 goals with 169 specific targets that address the pressing social, economic, and environmental challenges which are faced globally. And you can see those goals on screen. So the proposal was to meet the sustainable development goals by, or achieve these goals by the end of 2030. And we know that 2030 is not very far away. This is 2026, beginning of 2026. So there are 17 goals as it is proposed over here. I'm not going to read everything, but we will look into the present scenario. What is happening in the present scenario regarding the addressing these sustainable development goals and how far we could achieve. You can read through the sustainable development report, which is available in the internet. 2024 also there was a report, and every year the United Nations they publish a report. So in 2025 also we have a report. So I try to get the abstracts of those reports in 2024 and 25, just to have a comparison. If you see the 2024 report, which you see on the left of the screen, we notice that only 17% of the goals are met with so far. They are on track. And 17% are on regression. We couldn't even meet. We couldn't even start such goals. Well, the details are available in the internet, so I'm not going to go for the specific details. Now, when you look at this report 1 year later, overall 35% of the targets could be addressed, overall targets, out of the 169 sub-goals, 35% of targets are addressed somehow. They are on track or making some moderate progress. And what is proposed by the UN is we must maximize the final 5 years for real commitment and delivery of these goals. So the progress from 2024 to 25 in this 1 year time, it is just 1% growth. You can see that. So from 17%, it went up to 18%. Still less than 1/5 is the progress. So we can have a look at the detailed progress report in the internet if you read the SDG report 2025. Now, if you look at the overall progress once again with all the goals on one screen, we can see this arrow mark. The representation of this arrow mark is the horizontal arrow mark represents stagnation. That is, there is no progress. And the inclined arrow mark represents there is moderate progress, or moderately progressing. And if there's a dot, the meaning is there is no info available regarding that. You can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, just 4 goals, or yeah, just 4 goals only are progressing at least moderately in the past since 2015. And most of the other goals, that is close to 13 goals, are still in stagnation. So we say no poverty. So when we say no poverty, where have we reached? This also is very interesting. So if you look at the goals, the data and the efforts so far, and what is envisaged till 2030. So it is proposed that by 2030, if you look at the extended or the extrapolated scenario, by 2030, though it is envisaged that there will be no poverty, 590 million people will be still under poverty in 2030. And likewise, you can see that in each and every goal, there are issues. Like if you see the second goal, 1 out of 5 children will be undergoing the stunting because of malnutrition. And if you look at, say, the goal number 5, there will be more than 2.5 times of the women will be having this unpaid job, unpaid domestic and care work than the men. So regarding education, we could make some progress, marginal progress. Regarding some other, if you look at the goal number 6, that is clean water for everybody. By 2030, it is proposed that, or it is extrapolated that at least 2 billion people will still live without safe drinking water. So where do we stand and what is the issue? So again, I am not going to read the whole thing because you can go through the report once again and you can find out the minute details and where do these countries stand, what is the rank of the countries, all these things we can see. If you look at the country India, now we are standing at the 99th position out of 167 countries which are ranked. We were lagging behind, we were beyond 100, but now we are ranked 99 and we still need more improvement in all these areas, in all these sustainable development goals. We need to progress. If you look at the points which India is having, it is 71 as on date. It was somewhere in the 60s 2015. So there is progress in that line. So we are progressing, but the progress is very marginal. So we will see what are the issues. Well, if you look at the goals, whether we are addressing these goals more fundamentally, or are we just trying to address the periphery? For example, to have no poverty, are we addressing the root cause of the issue, or are we trying to increase the GDP? If you increase the GDP, now the poverty line, the amount which is envisaged is like if a person or a family is not able to have an income of $3 per day. I mean, that is the line right now. Then if a person is not having $3 per day, then he is considered as below this poverty line, below poverty means he is still living in this poverty. So there will be like 580 million people by 2030. That is what is extrapolated as I have shown. So are we trying to just see this poverty in line with only this GDP in terms of money? Can we also see that in some other lines, like for example, the feeling of relationship. So what we are trying to see here is try to look into this sustainable development goals more fundamentally. So basically, if you look at a human being, what does a human being want? All these goals are for the development of a human being in various facets of his life or her life. The basic aspiration of a human being is happiness and prosperity in continuity. So when this is the basic aspiration, do we really understand what is the true meaning of this basic aspiration? Fundamentally, we want sustainability of happiness and prosperity for myself and for the next generation. I want this happiness and prosperity for myself and for the people who are staying around me and for the nature as a whole. Well, have we understood the real meaning of happiness? Or we think that this happiness can be ensured through physical facilities, the material world. Have we understood the real meaning of prosperity? Do we think that when we have these materials in abundance, we have prosperity? What preparation is required in every one of us to live a sustainable life? When there is abundance of materials, can we ensure a happy and prosperous living for a human being? So to address these issues, what we can propose is that what is essential for a human being is to ensure three things for a fulfilling life, to fulfill the basic aspiration of the human being. Well, we need this physical facility, we need this material for sure, but that alone is not going to suffice to ensure the happy and peaceful life, happy and prosperous life of a human being. We need to ensure the relationship with other human beings. We need to ensure right understanding regarding both relationship and physical facility. And when I say right understanding, education can help us to ensure this right understanding in the self. And if I elaborate upon that, the meaning of this understanding, right understanding, is understanding of harmony at all the levels of human being. The individual level, family, society, nature and existence. So education provides this understanding, or the purpose of education is to provide this understanding, is to ensure this understanding. But in the education scenario, what is happening is we focus upon skills largely. And when we discuss the how to do part, are we also focusing upon the what to do part? Are we also addressing the issues and the purpose of these skills? So when I am able to understand the harmony at all the levels, I will be able to live in harmony at all the levels too. So I want to live as an individual with harmony. I want to live as a family member with family. I want to live as a member of society in harmony. I also want to live as a unit in the entire nature and existence with harmony. For that, I need to understand what is my value, what is my role, what is my responsibility, what is my participation in relationship with other human beings and in ensuring physical facility with the rest of the nature. So the outcome which I expect through a fulfilling life is mutual happiness and mutual prosperity, as it is proposed over here. So when this is what is required for a human being, where are we right now? Are we here? Is the worldview just materialistic? That we can ensure these sustainable development goals if we work with this materialistic perspective? Well, if I focus only upon the physical facility part, the materials, the outcome may be unhappiness, because I don't know what is the meaning of understanding, and I don't know what is the meaning of harmony. I'm not focusing upon the relationship with other human beings also by understanding the true meaning of feelings and happiness. So when we discard the present model of development, how else do we live? If this model of development of materialistic perspective is to be discarded because the outcome is unhappiness and deprivation, how else do we live? And if we continue it, shall we at all live? So this can be addressed. So a few things are listed over here. We can just go through that. So if I assume that I am just the body and I need to fulfill the needs of my body alone, and my happiness is lying upon this consumerism and maximization of sensory pleasures and profit, which give rise to unlimited material needs. So therefore, it will be impossible to fulfill everyone's needs with our planet's limited resources if I think in that way. So a materialistic worldview is giving me this exploration. If I just treat the nature as a resource that could be exploited by human beings to any extent, by thus violating inherent interconnectedness, coexistence, and dynamic balance in existence, this may be the result. So inherently, the nature is in harmony, and we need to study what is the harmony. We need to understand what is this inherent harmony in the nature, and any kind of project can be designed on this basis. Are we doing this, or are we trying to exploit the nature? So unsustainability is due to our unsustainable lifestyle. Unsustainable lifestyle is due to our only materialistic worldview. Due to the materialistic perspective, we are facing problems like poverty, hunger, gender inequality, life on land, problems with life on land, life below water, etc. The prevalent problems will naturally be solved once we have a holistic worldview. So what I propose here is, instead of having the materialistic worldview, let us have a holistic worldview. And what is that? So the above issues which are leading towards the sustainable development goals are the ill effects of our materialistic perspective. So we need to have this transformation. A transformation from materialistic perspective to the human consciousness perspective. So from here to there. A transformation from working only for this materials, physical facility, which results in unhappiness and deprivation, to working for all the three, right understanding in the self, through education, relationship and behavior with other human beings with right feelings ensured within, and physical facility with the rest of the nature, leading to mutual happiness and mutual prosperity. That is what I referred to as human consciousness. So we can check whether this transformation is essential. Is development just in increasing physical facilities, or is development ensuring all these three, as you can see on the right top of screen? Yeah, so when we can see that this three things are essential for holistic development, that is, I need to ensure right understanding in myself, that is understanding of harmony at all the levels, the individual to the entire existence. And then when I work with the rest of the nature, ensuring justice and relationship with every human being in the society, and I participate in the other part of the nature, ensuring a family order, ensuring a world family order from my family order. That will lead to a humane society. So I can work for a humane society rather than just working for the material part. So what we are proposing here is that human being is not just the body, but coexistence of self and the body. A consciousness entity and a material entity. But we can explore this, keep it open and explore. So happiness is an understanding of harmony at all levels of our living. Prosperity is a feeling of having more than the required physical facility. So happiness is not contained within the materialistic perspective. We need to ensure relationship with other human beings, and we need to ensure right understanding regarding the three with that priority. The priority number one can be given to right understanding, number two, relationship, and number three, for physical facility. So we can keep this priority also open. We can explore regarding that too. So verify what is happiness for yourself. Is it confined to, or is it confining to the materialistic worldview, or is it understanding of harmony at all levels of being, at all levels of my living? And what is prosperity for you? When you have abundance of physical things, will you be prosperous, or is prosperity a feeling within of having more than required physical facility? And with this understanding, if you address the sustainable goals, then we can propose a common goal for all the human beings, which everyone can follow, which everyone can execute, so that reaching the sustainable goal is very easy, or that is very conducive. So what I propose here is ensuring right understanding and right feeling leading towards happiness in every individual. I said education may help me. And at the level of the body, I can ensure health in the body, and that is also my responsibility. Through my right understanding, I can ensure health in the body. I can work for prosperity in my family. That is my responsibility, that is my role, and that is my value. Now in the society, I can work for fearlessness in society, not for fear, not for exploitation, not for mistrust, but for trust. With the natural environment, with the entire existence, I can work for mutual enrichment, mutual fulfillment. So with my right understanding, I can start at the individual level and I can look towards the other levels of my being, the health of the body, prosperity in the family, fearlessness in society, and mutual enrichment in the natural environment. I can verify, is it possible for me? And when we join together to fulfill this common human goal, fulfilling these sustainable development goals, is that also happening very naturally? For example, when we address the first human goal, first common human goal, that is ensuring right understanding in every human being through human education, that is a holistic and value-based education. We have people with right understanding, understanding truth, harmony, etc. People with right feelings, feeling of relationship, feeling of harmony, and feeling of love, etc. And people with right skills, skills for living in harmony. So when we address this, the first level of this common human goal, not what you see on the bottom. What you can see on the bottom is representing an inhuman society. But when we are working for this yellow blocks, particularly the first level of this common human goal, I am addressing, in fact, the SDGs number 4 and number 5. Quality education, because this right understanding and right feeling is ensured through education, and gender equality. You can verify this. So as another example, if I look at, to address this goal number 3, SDG number 3, good health and well-being, I can work with my right understanding with the health of my body. So this can be ensured with every individual. So when I have this self-regulation of nurturing, protection, and right utilization of a body, I can ensure health in the body. Health means body acts according to what I want the body to do, or body acts according to me, and all the body parts are in harmony. So feeling of self-regulation in the individual and health is an outcome of that in the body. So when I address that goal and when I try to work for that goal, SDG number 3 is also ensured. So are you able to see this? Similarly, when I work for the third, goal number 1, 2, and 3, working for right understanding in myself, working for health in the body, in every individual, and working for prosperity in my family. In fact, I am addressing the sustainable goal number 1, 2, 8, 9, and 12. No poverty, zero hunger, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, and responsible consumption and production. Can you verify that? Each and every individual can participate in this. So when we participate in this with our full effort, then we can address these 5 goals. This is also a proposal. Likewise, when I worked for the human goal number 1, 2, 3, and 4, the 4 levels of the human goal, I work with the society for its fearlessness with other individual. Then the SDGs number 10, 11, 16, and 17 are addressed. I mean, say directly, not even indirectly, I would say, they're directly addressed. Reduce inequality, sustainable cities and communities, peace, justice, and strong institutions, partnerships for the goals, etc. So I like to propose this also, that when I work for the all these goals, the common human goal, including the work for the nature, the mutual fulfillment, the mutual enrichment of the nature, the natural environment, I am addressing, in fact, goal number 6, 7, 13, 14, and 15. So please verify that also. So when I work for the common human goal along with every other human being in the society, am I able to address these goals, and am I able to achieve this SDGs much faster? So envisioning a human society is this: I can work for the common human goal, and I can address all the 17 SDGs directly or indirectly. And by 2030, there are 5 years. 5 years is quite a good amount of time. But if everybody can join together, then there is a possibility for achieving the common human goals and the SDGs by the end of this 2030. And we can propose certain dimensions of human order, which I'm not going to detail over here. But you can verify whether you are part of at least one dimension or many dimensions. Are you part of education? Are you part of these health systems? Are you part of this justice, which is ensuring right feelings in every human being and sharing the feelings to the other and verifying that the feelings have reached the other? That is what I mean by justice, system of justice, human to human interaction. Production, service, exchange, distribution, right utilization of the physical facilities, preservation of the nature, dimensions of service, administrative service, social service, etc. So in the implementation of these common human goals, I can work with at least one or many of these dimensions. So this is what I try to propose in front of you. And now we will see into the paving the way towards a human tradition. And then we will see some of the technological interventions which I have had or my university is having in the past and what we are going to have in the future. So that is what I am trying to propose in line with this SDGs and also in line with addressing the common human goal. So the humanistic tradition, what I try to propose is that the primary step is to move towards a holistic way of life, is to develop the right understanding among the human beings, commitment to live accordingly, and then to develop the skills and the knowledge systems to implement the right understanding in real life. So what is essential is to work for the human society, where 4 things are what I want to propose. One is a humanistic education, second is a human conduct, third is a human constitution, and fourth is the universal human order, like this. So the entry point is, of course, this education. So proposals or information is there from outside. So I enter here in the human education that ensures the development of the competence of every human being to live with a different human conduct. That is what I mean by education. It includes skills, practice, the commitment, the preparation, and the competence to improve the competence of a human being. So it includes everything. And now when human beings have this human education, then very naturally there will be human conduct in every human being. So conduct that ensures continuity of mutual happiness and prosperity. Now when I have this human conduct, I'm naturally proceeding towards a human constitution. The nature of society of people living together in a relationship of mutual fulfillment will be there in the human constitution. And ultimately, I can move towards the human order, the society in which the human goal is realized, what I proposed in the beginning. And that can ensure all these SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. So what I envisage is this, a human tradition. But a lot of work is required. I'm not sure within 5 years we are going to reach it, but we can hopefully progress a lot if we move together as a single unit. Right. Now, I go into some of the environmental technical interventions in these environmental issues in Kuttanad, Kerala, India, where I live and where I work. So my birthplace as well as my workplace, that happened to be this place, Kuttanad, which, as we all know, has been identified by the United Nations, the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations in 2013, as one of the globally important agricultural heritage systems. And we also know that this is there are only 3 such systems in the country. One is Koraput, Odisha, because of its traditional paddy cultivation, and one is Kashmir, because of its peculiarity over there. And Kutanad is peculiar for its below sea level farming, as we all know. So some pictures, as we are seeing, maybe when we search for Kutanad is available over here, the paddy cultivation, the wetland system, the boat service system, and the paddy fields which are below the level of the water bodies, and the kind of festivals, the snake boat race, etc., are very common in this place. So rich culture, rich tradition, and rich in agriculture, I would say. So this is history. I just go through it very briefly. So for administrative purpose, this has been divided into 6 different parts, like the Vaikam Kari, the North Kutanad, the Kayal lands, the Lower Kutanad, the Pudukad Kari, the Upper Kutanad. Right. So if you look at the geographical features, thousands of years ago, the sea extended till the Western Ghats, and in the past, we could see a river mouth or estuary was formed near Kochi. Then Tripunithura, Vaikam, and Perimathura, they were ports. So Tura, the meaning in Malayalam is port. So one of the major 6 regions in the Sangha period was Kutanad. These are all part of history. So many things you can say regarding Kutanad. So if I look at the very brief features of this, it was considered as a rice bowl of Kerala in the past. Now it is not so, but it still have this tradition. It extends close to 900 to 1,000 square kilometers estimated area. It is a floodplain of 4 major rivers: Pamba, Manimala, Achankovil, and Meenachil. And the Muvattupuza River is also joining it towards the north part of Kutanad, distributed in the districts Alappuzha, Pathanamthitta, and Kottayam, as we all know. Well, the estimated that 500 kilometers square of the area is with paddy fields. Of paddy fields. This is below sea level, and below sea level farming is practiced over here. Agriculture is the main source of living of people. So farming is carried out 1.2 meters to 3 meters below sea level. So because of this, Kayal lands and Kayal padams, the reclaimed agricultural fields from the Vemanad estuary, we call this as this has gained the importance of agricultural heritage system, right? Right. So I'm not going to detail all the things which I have listed over here. Well, this is history, and you can see one of the key things is that between the 4th and the 8th century AD, the history was not much available. So the area of the land in Kerala was doubled, maybe because of some natural phenomena. And during that time, the 3 kind of sand depositions happened in the western part of Kerala. One sand lagoon, you can call that as say Cherthala. Another one is Ernakulam or Kochi, and the third one is Alappuzha. So there are several what you call as openings towards the sea, and still there are 19 openings to the sea. This is all part of history. So the major environmental issues, if you look at that of Kutanad right now, because it is the floodplain of 4 or 5 major rivers. One is the flood itself, because it is a low-lying land. It is susceptible to flood, and flood is not like a menace in Kutanad, but it is a boon, because the flood is bringing, the floodwater is bringing a lot of alluvial soil, lot of deposits. This is making the soil fertile in Kutanad, and that's why paddy cultivation is possible in this place. But of course, since habitat is also there, when the floodwater enters the habitual areas, then there is possibility of loss of habitat, agricultural produce, etc. That's one thing. Inadequate waste disposal is another issue. This has to be addressed very precisely. Waste produced flowing from other places through the rivers, through the water, pesticides and fertilizers leading to health hazards. So some solutions are also proposed. You can see that towards the end of this discussion. Another major issue is scarcity of potable water. There is water everywhere, but for drinking, we have to find some other sources. Are we able to use the same water source but with purification? This also can be addressed. Inadequate and improper sanitation facilities is another issue because of the water logging and the water table being very high. Another thing is there are a lot of construction, like for example, if you look at the land use and land cover in this area, in 1973, the land use was a meager 3% of close to 1,000 square kilometer. And now, if you look at the satellite images in 2023-24, that time, the extent of this constructed, or the constructed land that has enhanced to 1,018%, 1018%. That means it became from, it has changed over from 3% to 37% or more than that. So this is unbearable for this place because many of the inlets and outlets of these water bodies are now being encroached by people for construction. So this is another thing. Non-engineered construction is another issue. So through technical interventions, we could address some of this, but not all of this. Still issues persist, but we need more interventions. But if you look at the global scenario, the nature contains 4 orders. The physical order, where the soil, metal, water, etc. is there. The bio order, where the plants and trees are there. And the animal order, where the animals and birds are there. And finally, the human order, where the human being is there. Since we can see that there is inherent harmony in the nature, all these 3 orders, except the human order, are in harmony among themselves. They are mutually enriching and they are of cyclic nature. That means one unit from one order may go into a unit in the another order, and that may be coming back to this order in some other form. For example, the water or the minerals will be absorbed by the plants and they go to the soil. So they go to the plants and they become part of the plants. And when the leaves or the branches or the fruits or the tree or the plant trunk itself fall down onto the soil, they become further part of the soil in some other form. So this kind of mutual travel is there between this material order, the physical, the bio, and also you can see this is there with the animal order. So there's a mutual enrichment among the 3 orders. A harmony is there in these 3 orders. But what about the human beings? What about the human order? Are we mutually enriching, or are we just taking from these 3 orders? The physical order, I require soil, I require metal, I require water. As a human being, from bio order, I require plants, trees, fruits, etc. for food or many other purposes, furniture, to build my house, etc. I need this animal order for several purposes, for milk, for transportation, and for several other purposes. But without having right understanding regarding the 3 orders, am I fulfilling for the 3 orders? This question has to be asked. That's why we have now this cues and cries for sustainable construction, sustainable production, because there is resource depletion, there is pollution, etc. But of course, every human being has this potential for natural acceptance, potential to open up to this natural acceptance. That what I want to be is, I want to be in relationship with every other order, not just with human beings alone. I want to ensure this harmony with every other order. So, but if I am able to understand that, and if I am able to channel my activities through that, then there is possibility for mutual enrichment. So once human beings understand, they can be mutually fulfilling for all the 4 orders. So this is to start with the projects, just as a precursor of the project. So I'm trying to put forth the basis of these projects. So if you look at the orders once again, you can see that the human order is the least in abundance. When the physical order is a maximum, the human order is the least in abundance, but the dependency is from here to here. So I depend upon the animal order, I depend upon the plant order for my existence, I depend upon the physical order for my existence. I need everything, but I'm responsible for paying back in that case. So survival of the human order is dependent upon all 3 orders. So it is my responsibility to help all the other 3 orders, because I need to exist and I need to sustain the human order. So all orders have a different conduct except the human order without right understanding. So in human beings, the body has a definite conduct because it's also part of material. The self, which is operating upon assumptions without knowing, is a source of indefiniteness. And it's also a problem. The solution is to ensure knowing or understanding harmony in the self. So human beings inherently have a natural acceptance to know to be in harmony, and for this, education is essential. Improving the acceptances, the sanskar is essential. So this is the fundamental thing. And on this basis, we can look at this activities happening in these 4 orders. Like in the physical order, there is activity of formation, deformation. In the bio order, there is activity of, in addition to the formation, deformation, there is respiration. Cells are formed, some cells are deformed, and they respire. And in the animal order, the formation, deformation, respiration are there in the body, but there is selecting and tasting in the self, in I. In the human order, the formation, deformation, respiration are there in the body, and there are many other activities in the self. There is potential for understanding in the self also. If you look at the innateness, the self-organization part, there is existence in the physical order, and there is existence and growth in the bio, the plants, for example. There is existence, growth in the body of animals and human beings, but there is a will to live in I in the animals, and there is a will to live with continuous happiness in I in the human beings. Are we able to see that? This is how everything is self-organized in this way. So, and if you look at the inheritance part, how this properties, how this conduct is decided, maintained, and transferred to the next generation. So when the physical order, the soil, metal, they are constitution based, the bio order seed based. Whatever is the seed or whatever is the item from which the new plants are emerging. For example, it may emerge from a branch also. So whatever is that is what we call as a seed. But the animals are breed based. But what about the human beings? How does the sanskar, how does this conduct is decided, maintained, and transferred to the next generation? Is it just by breed, or is it by education sanskar? Education and improving the acceptances of a human being. So through education, there are several possibilities. The conduct of human being is decided based on education and improving the sanskar. The human education sanskar is what is essential, and inhuman education sanskar leads to inhuman conduct. So what we need is a human conduct, so we can ensure the human education sanskar in every education system. That is fundamental. So the participation of a human order in the entire nature depends upon at least not violating the activities, innateness, and inheritance of the other orders. And now I can, when I am not violating, when I am ensuring the inheritance, the innateness and activity of the other orders, I can be of mutual fulfillment to all the 4 orders: the physical, the bio, and the animal, and the human. So based on this, I can make several projects, and I can also get the association with my students and my research scholars for proposing as well as conducting several projects. That was what was happening in the institution. So what is naturally acceptable to me is not wretchedness, cunningness, and cruelty, but perseverance, bravery, and generosity. I'm not just living for myself, but my purpose is to help ensure harmony at all my levels. So bravery and generosity are also my purpose, as you can see over here. On that basis, now let me go into one of the case studies which we have conducted in the Kutanad area. So as I said, this paddy cultivation is one of the ways of living by the people, and there is breakage of this boulder wall very frequently because of flood, because of thinness of the bund, etc. So there are several interventions which happened in the past also. There are several methodologies how to construct this boulder walls. So we proposed an environmental friendly way of constructing. Existing boulder walls or existing bunds are either earthen bunds or dry rubble masonry or run rubble masonry. These are technical words in civil engineering precisely. And the following are the challenges of this boulder wall construction. I will go through it very quickly because it is maybe too technical. One is the carrying capacity of the water body and depth of the water, because floods may be very frequent. So velocity of water during this flood time, water may be flowing with a high velocity. Wind velocity at the place, that is another thing, because it is towards the western region, western side. Existing materials of bund protection, what is available locally or otherwise. Then engineering properties of the soil below the polders and water bodies. A few more can be proposed very quickly. The cover of vegetation in the existing bunds. The purpose for which the bunds or the polder wall are employed, that's another thing. Availability of construction materials, including granite stones and unscientific use of the same. So this is what is to be addressed very, very particularly, very precisely. Then the last thing is the carbon emission owing to the use of concrete. So these are very common kind of problems which we face. So if you look at some of those bunds, some of those polder walls, you can see such kind of scenarios. There may be temporary protection, there may be sometimes partial permanent protection, and there may be vegetation growing over there, or there may be vegetation which may not be there. There are several things, like you can see sometimes private parties may encroach the polder walls and they may stay over there, or there may be deposition of this water hyacinth kind of weeds, and somewhere the bund would have been broken, somewhere the bund would have been having very thin cross section. All these are issues. So this is an example of a bund breakage. Thinness of the bund you can see, the thin bund you can see in one of the pictures, and encroachment by public you can see over here. This also is soil erosion you can see of the bund. So the water body over here can encroach very easily to this polder because of the thinness of this bund. This is another place where the bund was breached quite frequently. So there are a lot of issues like that. And somewhere they construct this kind of concrete slab above the bund, and what may happen is that the soil below that may go off, and the bund, the top concrete may just remain there. So this also is an issue. Temporary kind of bunds may be constructed like that to prevent water entry into the paddy fields. And sometimes this kind of construction where the water body is constricted and such kind of bridges are constructed so that the entry of water, flow of water is prevented that way. And you can see this accumulation of this water weeds, the water hyacinth, for example. And because of that, the flow of water is prevented, aquatic life is in danger, and there are many, many other issues. So certain proposed methodologies is as the rubbles or granite stones settles and occupies the bed of the water bodies, conventional biobunds may be promoted, but with certain modifications, not just like just piling up the soil, but certain modifications can be proposed. So we tried some experiments upon this. The Kaya geotextiles are what is available over here, locally available material. So whatever is available locally can be employed to improve the strength of the subsoil. We tried that. We did some experiments in the laboratory also, and we tried to have some interventions outside. So wherever there is excessive erosion, we may require some granite stones for preventing at least the velocity of the water. So we may require some hard solution than soft solutions. Now, of course, we have to find out these parameters like the depth and width of the bunds and the maximum flood level. These are all to be measured as parameters which are required to design a polder wall. Then we also require the gates, the sluice gates. They may be established in the bunds to regulate the inflow and outflow of water. Then research is also on to produce bund protection materials from polymer composites. That is in research. So one of the scholars is working upon that also. There are many kind of interventions. These are some of the kind of proposals for polder wall protection. And we have one of the interventions over here. This is a polder which is named as the Kedekethumburam Padashekaram, which is in Nedamudi Panchayat in Kuttanar. So it's a very small kind of a pilot work where we addressed only 3.5 kilometers. The perimeter is only 3.5 kilometers, including the inner bund, as you can see on the right screen. So there we collected this data with the help of some GIS-based tools. Some of the AI tools are also being used, but very, very limited. Mobile apps largely. So the topographic survey, we also resorted upon the geomaps available. Then also with the help of the survey tools, we have collected the data. With this data, we finally come up to the design. So the width of the canals, the other parameters were measured. And these are some of the results. And three major objectives of this project are, one is flood mitigation and adaptation. Are we trying to mitigate the flood, or are we also trying to live with the water? Adaptation, is that also a possibility? We try to explore that. Facilitation of transportation over the bunds, over these constructed boulder walls. Then post-flood livelihood support, developing more local jobs for unskilled sector and enhancing local economy through capacity building of local residents. This also is addressed through this pilot work. Then community-driven agro enterprise is also being addressed. So these are some of those photographs during the data collection. We did this California bearing ratio test in the laboratory to find the strength of the soil when there are multiple layers of the geotextiles which are reinforced in the soil. So we come to a conclusion that this is the results which we got from the observations from these experiments. The percentage of silt, clay, soil, the sand, etc. Right. So the severe value is offering this idea that if you reinforce the silty clay mixture with multiple layers of coir geotextiles, there is a possibility to improve the strength by almost 5 times. That was the outcome of that result of that experiment, of those experiments. So the dry volume of the silt clay mixture was observed to be 36% less than the soil which was collected, and this is incorporated in the design of the bund. So several things were which were coming to into the geotechnical regime. We have addressed this also. I'm not going into the technical parts of this in detail. So this may be the existing payments, how to improve that the width of the bund, the depth of the bund, and the side protection. So we try to have a capping like this, as you can see over here, not just like with the soil alone, but with soil reinforcement, as you can see over here. So the existing pavement will be reinforced, will be covered first of all with a geotextile reinforcement, with a geotextile layer, and then above that we'll lay one more geotextile layer, geotextile layer, and then we pour the clay and silt, which will be collected from the paddy fields and the water bodies, which in fact are reducing the level of water, and increasing the water bed. So this soil from that water body and the paddy fields can be collected and they can be laid after proper treatment. So multiple layers were laid, and we can have reinforcement of coir geotextiles in between also. This is what was proposed. So this is the process and the progress of the work. So these slides are made for even training the local people to empower themselves so that they can do it by themselves. Right. So these are all the details of that, the numbers. So the numbers are not very important over here. These are all how we have designed that using the CBR, the CBR result as well as this IRC code, how to, just like we design a pavement. Right. So these are all the kind of details which I am trying to omit from this discussion. Detailed discussion is omitted. So first layer, second layer, third layer are of reinforcement are put forth, and in between we have this clay and silt depositions. So how we have how much volume we have put in, and how we have arrived at this volume, and how much is the volume which is reducing when there is a shrinkage. All those things are being calculated. And what is the side slope, how to maintain the side slope, all these are scientifically measured, scientifically arrived at. So this is again another picture of this capping of the existing bund, a three-dimensional picture, just for addressing it for to get the attention of the local people. We have made all these kind of pictures, and we have made an elaborate discussion with them. So when we implemented that in that particular area, these are some of the pictures over there. You can see. Right. These pictures are taken during the implementation part. various levels of implementation. So when the soil is which is taken from the water body is placed over here, then another layer of geotextual reinforcement is laid over that, and the work is progressing just like that. All right, this may be a finished surface finally. So the kind of machines are also being used over there. Right, so that is one of the interventions which was successful, and this can be replicated maybe in other polders also. So there, many of these SDGs are also addressed. Maybe life below water, life on land, then empowering the local bodies, the local people, etc. There are several things which are addressed in this particular intervention. Now, another problem, another major issue which we addressed was the drinking water, the impure drinking water. So water is available everywhere, but for drinking, they have to bring water from elsewhere. So when we saw the water bodies over there, many of the water bodies like rivers and wells are polluted. But the water which is available from nearby, all say nearby sources, the river, the well, the pond, the lake, canals, tube wells, etc. are polluted. But the proximity to paddy field, because of the proximity of paddy fields, pesticides and fertilizers, they may be deposited waste, flowing waste, etc. They can be quoted as other source of pollution. Public water supply is elusive in many areas of Kutanad, and it is still it is difficult to have this public water supply because of the laying of the pipes and frequent this pipe breakage because of the soil settlement, because of the pipe settlement in the soil. Well, these are all some of the issues, but the salient features of this natural water purification system are this. So what is available there is the surface groundwater in isolated ponds, which are a bit far away from the paddy fields. There were many ponds like that in several parts of Kutanad, but many ponds were like filled for constructions, but some of the ponds are still existing. So isolated ponds have nearly non-contaminated water from the toxicity from this agricultural waste because they are a bit far away. So an existing water filter in the house premise of the famous engineer in this area, I.C. Chacko, was the motivation for the development of the present system of water filter. There are 3 compartments in the concentrically placed filter: an outer chamber where the raw water resides, middle chamber in which the filter materials are poured, and an inner well where the filtered water is collected. You can see that in the next picture. The raw water from the pond enters the middle chamber just above the filter material. So this can be explained with the help of the figure, maybe in the next, this picture. Maybe this is a plan of the whole system. So there is the pond has the shape of a rectangle or close to a square, as you can see over here in plan, and there is water here. At the center of that, we have constructed this well. And here we have poured this material, the filter material. There is an inner chamber where the pure water can be collected. So there are perforations in the walls through which the water can enter after filtration to the filter chamber. If you look at this diagram, this is a sectional elevation. You can see here the filter material in this chamber, the intermediate chamber. The outer side of that, we have this water body, right? Inner chamber, we have filtered water, which passes through this the pores over here. And you can see that maybe in a diagrammatic picture over here, right? So the water from this water body will go into the outer chamber of this filter, where the filter material is there, which are filled in different layers, and this will go into the filtered into the inner chamber where activated carbon is there, which can absorb much of the physical, chemical, bacteriological impurities to an extent, and water available here, water which is available here will be filtered and which will be much pure compared to what is available over here. So what we did is we have installed this in a pond in Pulingunnu, and then we have tested the water for water quality. So the water quality report was very, admissible. that this is very close to having the drinking water standards. When we tested the water from outside the chamber, we could see that the coliform bacteria was present to an extent. E. coli bacteria also was present to an extent, but now we can see that from the inner chamber, when we had taken this water and tested, we could see that the bacteria, even the bacteria is also absent over there. And much of this parameters are falling within the quality standards. That's what we observed. This is a picture where we have inaugurated the filter. So the filter is over here. And this is the water body, the pond, and the paddy field is much far away from here. It is somewhere here, over here, very far away. So that is two of the interventions. And now, if I put for some of the other major technological interventions which we have had, I'm not going to go to the details of each and everything, but one of the major interventions is this Alappuzha Canal rejuvenation, which happened in 2017-2018. So we had a summer school with the help of IIT Mumbai, KILA, and the state government of Kerala, the district administration. The summer school included many students from different parts of the country, not just from the state of Kerala, but from other parts of the country also. Like some of the IITs participated, so there were like 360 students in the particular summer school. It was in May 2017. So where with the help of these students, and the students came from different backgrounds also, like many of them were from the MSW background, many of them were from environmental background, many of them were from civil engineering background, and some of them were there from management background. So we have had discussions, presentations, then technical talks, technical discussions with them, and we have finally envisaged a methodology by which we can rejuvenate all the canals in Alleppey. So we have made a methodology, and with the methodology, we demonstrated that in a few canals in Alleppey, and that was presented to as a report finally to the district administration and to the state government. And the irrigation department has taken that, and some interventions are taking place, but still long way to go. Another thing is this Kapithod, the Alappuzha rejuvenation project. So report has been submitted, but still the execution is to happen. Then the Puvam Canal, which I have discussed partially, but still there are the Puvam Canal rejuvenation which happened in one day. The clearing of that canal, this happened in one day with the intervention of 3,000 people over there, the people participation. The Rajanapuram, the polder wall strengthening, then another Kainagiri, there is an outer bund construction. All these are projects which came to the university, and we have intervened. We have designed some unconventional way, not just conventional way of designing the work, designing the project, but we have designed the polder walls with some unconventional way, particularly not just with granite walls alone, granite stones alone, but we have combined this the indigenous construction methods as well as the modern techniques over there. Then studies on the Pudapandam Kayal, which is in Nirumudi, in search of potable water resources. This is a student project. So the reports are available. Studies on strengthening of the Kanagasheri, the Kainagiri, which is in Kainagiri, and the Mecheri Waka polder wall strengthening. This also is a BTech student project. A holistic solution for water bodies and bunds in Kumaragam. This is a project which is taken with the help of an agency in Alleppey, and the work is completed with the help of the Kumaragam Panchayat. The holistic solution, this we discussed. Sustainable practice for foundation of buildings in Kuttanad. So the buildings which are constructed through this life support by the government of Kerala. So we have surveyed many buildings and found out the issues with regard to the foundation, with regard to the poor construction methodologies, etc. Sustainable practices for foundation of buildings, of course. Then, revamp of the life houses in Kuttanad. That's what I was telling just now. Development of polymer-based materials for bund protection. So this is still under development. One scholar is working upon this, and I hope that we may bring up some of the products and process of construction of the bund construction later. And certain students' projects on sustainable liquid waste disposal system also. In the college canteen, in the campus of the university in this Kutanad, we have the liquid waste disposal system proposed by the students in one of their projects. So there are kind of interventions which happened in the past, and what is going to happen in the future is a Vembanad Lake rejuvenation projects. This is still in the annual. Today also we have a meeting. The seminars and the kind of intervention work is going on up to the DPR level in the past 1 year, and still the work is to be executed. And on 2nd of February, we hope that we are going to launch this project. There are 14 projects at the annual, and a couple of them are proposed by the university and myself. So one is biobuns for sustainable biobuns for construction of this polder walls or strengthening the polder walls, and sustainable polder filtration is another thing. You can see these proposals maybe in the next slides, but before that, I also would like to put forward what is the way forward. The way forward is natural, nature-friendly technological interventions for holistic development, not just localized development, but for holistic development. And that should address the SDGs also, that should address the core issues. So what I see is there is inherent harmony in the nature as we proposed just now. Let us recognize and not harm the harmony in the nature. Technology or skills are available in plenty, in abundance. But are we really paying attention to the what to do or what to be part of the technology or the problem over and above the how to be or how to do part? This is to be addressed very precisely. So let the technological interventions be in line with the inherent harmony in the society and nature. Let all these projects which are proposed and which are executed be in line with the harmony in the society and harmony in the nature, particularly addressing the common human goal. And in that case, the outcome will be appealing. So there are a lot of indigenous techniques available. So we can study all those, the locally available technology, and they may be researched upon by maybe group of scientists, group of people from the colleges available over here and the universities with modern scientific principles, and appropriate methodology can be devised. This is another thing which I am trying to propose as future course of action. The focus may be upon a resolution of the existing major issues and addressing the sustainable development goals at the root, and not just addressing the peripheral issues. Then appropriate technology may be transferred to local people also. It is not that the technology should remain in the institutions and should remain in the papers only, but it has to be transferred to the local people, and we have to empower them. We have to make them ready for addressing their own issues by themselves. And the solutions and implementations they can own these solutions as well as the implementations by themselves. So this is another thing which I try to propose. The participatory and all-inclusive efforts. There are many institutions, schools, colleges available around this area. So we can, with the help of all these people, we can make the solutions and we can execute, we can implement all these solutions. This is a possibility. And this also will yield desirable results. That's what we have seen in the Salapura Canal Regeneration Project in the past, 2017-18. So as I was telling, these are two of the proposed projects which are yet to be executed, which may be starting from 2nd of February, I hope so. One of them is the biobuns. Learning from whatever we have done as interventions in the Nirupudi Panchayat, so now we are trying to extend that to other areas also. Nirupudi as well as Kumaragam Panchayats. So a nature-based solution for Kutanad floods is what we have been proposing, addressing Sustainable Development Goals number 11 as well as number 30. So you can see the cross-section of the bund over here. It is an AI picture, of course, generated with some of the AI tools. So as per the design, we have this soil reinforcement with Kaya geotextiles, and vegetation is growing above this. This vegetation is helping to be the soil to be intact, soil not to fall away. It is not the covering of the soil, but the vegetation, the roots of the vegetation is helping the soil to be intact over there. And even we can make above this maybe like a pathway for vehicles or for the pathway for human beings, and they can use that for transportation purposes. This is one of them. So the core challenge is addressed over here. Sustainable solution is also proposed over here, working with nature. Our expected outcome is also proposed over here. So this is a scalable thing. You can extend that to many folders. And finally, if it is successful, we can extend that to all the folders in the entire Kuttanar. So this is one of the kind of intervention which is going to happen very soon, which is environment friendly for sure. Another thing is when we see that this from these water bodies, from these paddy fields, when water is pumped out to the water bodies like this, the possibility is that all those pesticides, all those toxic substances which are there in the holders will be mixing with the water in these water bodies, and the water bodies are getting contaminated. And because of this, aquatic life is getting affected. Because of this, the human life is getting affected. And in addition, there may be pollution from such kind of houseboats also. So can we address at least the water which is pumped out from this kind of polders? That's what we are trying to address. There are many say polders available, and in each polder there are many pumping stations. So before the water is being pumped out to the water bodies, can we treat them partially at least? That is what we thought of. So we thought of constructing a well-like filter over here, just like this. The water from these canals, which are near these holders, can supply water to these filters, and this filter may filter the water to an extent. I won't say it is going to be totally purified. We have to find out the results later once we implement this. So this will pass through this filter. Water will pass through this filter of different layers, including this filter also will include activated carbon, and the absorption may happen in between. And then the water which is coming out of this will go into another chamber, a second chamber, and from where we can collect this water and pump it out to the water body. So this is what is proposed. Maybe the exact design of filter may not be like this, but still this is also an AI generated picture just to propose this to the CSR companies. So many companies are now offering CSR funds for this purpose. The canal rejuvenations, the lake rejuvenations are also now part of the CSR system. It is a recent development. So we are going to propose these two projects in addition to some 12 more projects as part of this Vembanad Lake Rejuvenation project. So these are proposals which are supposed to be implemented sooner than later. Yeah, so what I try to propose here as a summary is this. The nature is having many orders, many things are there. So when the units in the nature are collected in these 4 orders for convenience, the physical, the bio, the animal, and the human order, as a human being, I can see what is my responsibility. Whenever I am designing some projects, whenever I am implementing some projects outside, am I able to see my responsibility towards the nature? And are my projects in line with sustainability? Am I able to address the sustainable goals in due course of time? So there is a relationship of mutual fulfillment among these 4 orders. The first 3 orders are mutually fulfilling each other, and they are fulfilling for human beings also. It is naturally acceptable to human beings to be fulfilling for all these 3 or for all these 4 orders, not just 3, but all the 4 orders, including the human order. And for that, our responsibility is to understand that mutual fulfillment or harmony is inherent in the nature. We do not have to create it. That is there. We just need to understand that and just follow that. That's it. And we need to live accordingly. Then the mutual fulfillment among the 4 orders will be realized. And there is every provision in the nature for living with mutual fulfillment. So let every project which we try to design is according to the mutual fulfillment in the nature. And we can also envision towards a humane society as we proposed in the very beginning. So for that, what is essential is right understanding and right feeling in every individual, the first part of the common human goal, and health in every individual, health in the body in every individual, prosperity in every family, fearlessness can be ensured in every society, and mutual enrichment with the natural environment. So that when we have this vision for this human society, then the sustainable development goals, all these 17 goals, will be addressed and they can be accelerated in their fulfillment. So these are my proposals which I put before you. And if there are some questions, I can take them. There is some time left, I think. More than 10 minutes is available, so we can take some questions. Yes. Thank you. Any reflection, any questions?
So thank you, sir. It was a very very important session, especially when it comes to our Kerala scenario. I was a little bit thinking in that angle, like in Kerala, a lot of challenges, especially related to environment and other scenarios are going on. For example, sir, one of my doubt is in Kerala, a lot of policies, even Kerala, like a lot of policies when it is coming, a lot of environmental people, they are telling it is against the climate, I mean, environmental protection. It is degrading the ecology or what are the things. So, will it really, these kind of claims, will it really matter according to the Kerala's, what do you say, future goal, or in terms of mode of transportation, or in terms of how the infrastructure need to be developed for the betterment of society. So will that balance, or will that compromise on the environment is really needed? Or sir, what's your take on that scenario?
Yeah, very true that we need the kind of development as you are also proposing. We need to have transportation facilities. We need to have other amenities also. But at the same time, are we compromising upon something? We have to look into that. Are we compromising upon the environmental factors, the geographic factors of this state of Kerala? Because state of Kerala is a very thin piece of land which is extending from this Western Ghats to the Arabian Sea. Very thin land only. And there is very easy to damage this piece of land. And the population, if you look at the state of Kerala, it is very dense kind of a population. Even though the population increase is not there that much, but still there is dense population from the Western Ghats to the Arabian Sea across the width of Kerala and the length of Kerala. And now when we go for some development, if you are not addressing these environmental factors, particularly there are 44 rivers in Kerala, we know that?
Yes.
There is this Western Ghats in Kerala, and there are several lakes in Kerala. So when we are not looking into these, the pathways through which the rivers are flowing its water into other lakes and finally to the sea, and if for the sake of development, I just close all those pathways, then the result is like flooding. Now in Kuttanad as well as other regions of Kerala, flooding is very common because many of the pathways are closed. And as I was mentioning during my presentation, there are still 19 pathways from this Vembanar Lake to the Arabian Sea. And many of these 19 pathways are not working properly. That many of them are supposed to open during the monsoon time and close by nature during the non-monsoon time. But they are closed like in all seasons. Not only in monsoon season, in the other seasons also they are closed. So opening is not happening. So what is being done is like what we see in the Thotapalli spillway. So we need to have the human force and the machine force to open the barrages, to open the sand lagoons over there. So when we have this development of national highway, particularly through Alleppey, that region, these kind of what we call as pollies and allies in this part of the region were not addressed. So many of these polli and alli, that is the canals from these lakes to the sea, they were closed. Pathways were closed in the name of development of highway, name of development of this railway, etc. So we need this development for sure, but for that, are we addressing these environmental issues, or are we trying to produce more problems? This has to be thought of. And we say when we need this transportation, when one SDG is addressed, so we need urbanization, we need people for better living standards, people with better living standards, etc. They're all needed, but are we, when we are trying to fulfill one SDG, are we now trying to address others, or are we trying to make, say, more problems? For example, life on land or life below water, etc. Are we trying to produce more problems? We have to have a look into that. So whenever there is a project, the environmental impact assessment, I mean, the report may be there, and reports are also available. If you let's just look in the internet, this can be available. But are we really addressing the issue at the particular area and as a global issue, not just like a local issue, and trying to propose such kind of issues, such kind of solutions? Even in the Kutnad area, whenever some solutions are being proposed, many of them are not addressing the environmental issues. So when many roads are being proposed, and they are right now over there, I have shown some pictures where the water body is constricted and the bridges were constructed. And now many of such bridges are now going to be demolished, and new bridges are going to occupy the space over there. So there are a lot of issues which are not just natural but man-made. And whenever we go for a new construction or a strengthened construction or a strengthened intervention, I would say, we need to address these issues at the root, so that we should not create another problem. Rather, we try to address the issues at the root, and we can reach the SDGs in due course of time. That's what I can say.
Thank you, sir. And another thing is like I was when this environmental related offenses when I was seeing, what I felt is like this kind of ecological damages which is caused by some factories or some organization or some people in any other countries. If are they treating this kind of ecological damages as a criminal offense rather than a regulatory violation? Any states or countries doing like that? Sir, do you find any examples?
I don't have data with me right now, but there may be countries who are treating this as a criminal offense. But will that suffice? There may be punishments for the encroachment. There may be punishment for improper use of land, like land use, land cover. There may be some restrictions. But will punishment suffice? With fear of punishment, if people are going to obey some of the rules, will that be sustainable? We have to address this also.
Yes.
What is lacking is awareness. So even if you look at this scenario after the Chandrayaan success mission, I mean the mission of Chandrayaan, the director was telling regarding now we need to develop such kind of vehicles with which we can send people to the planets where this life is possible.
Yes.
So within a short span of time, life may not be possible in this earth. Without addressing that particular issue, we are now trying to develop vehicles. We can develop vehicles, and this may be the need, maybe at one point of time, maybe a few decades later. But still, if the human being with this level of understanding are going over there, for example, they obey these traffic rules by fear of punishment. They obey the land use cover and land cover rules by fear of punishment, without the proper understanding of the inherent harmony in the nature. If they go to some other planet, they will ruin that planet also very soon. So what is required is awareness. What is required is understanding.
Yes,
so we need to inculcate all these in the education and help people from the student level to understand at the very base that the issues are not with the implementation level, the issues are not with the law level, issues are not with the punishment level, but it is with the basic understanding. So when I can see that I obeying the traffic rules is not just for my safety, but for the safety of the community around me, the people around me, then I will obey the traffic rules when I know the crux of that. When the students who are doing this malpractice can, in the examination, for example, I'm taking another scenario, can see that when they are indulging in this kind of activities, it is not just for a temporary achievement, but this will become like a habit in them, and wherever they go, whichever organization they go, they will carry it forward with them, and finally this will become like a life problem for them. So this can be addressed at the level of education. Every issues can be addressed, but as teachers we have a role for that. We have to ensure that we understand that and we inculcate this in the education. That is what is essential.
Exactly, sir. Even I have seen a lot of people taking this earth, Mother Earth, as granted. It is not something granted for us. That mindset have to come. A lot of people taking it like like they are not considering the future. So that is one of the main reason. Sir, actually, Sri Lakshmi Madam is there. Madam, I have some, please share the questions. And there are some questions in the chats also. Let's discuss the questions. Thank you for the answer, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice. Nice interaction.
First of all, actually, it was a new point like connecting our human values with the SDG goals. Then we so discussed about the that is things in the Kuttanad. So actually, according to the land, I mean the topography of our Kerala, we are in the highest mean sea level in our Wayanad side. That's in the hilly region. To the end here, Kuttanad, when you come, it is below the mean sea level. Mean sea level. The other is in the above the mean sea level. There we are facing issues with the soil. Here we have issues with the water, like water flooding, and then we need to go for the purifying of the. We are not getting better water. Sir, as you already told, like there was a poem like water everywhere, not a drop to drink. A kind of a poem. I remember it from some school. I don't remember the heading of the the title of the poem. Anyway, so here again in the Wayanad side, you have the landsliding issues. We have a lot of soil there, a lot of hilly area, but you can't do anything there because when you try to grab anything or do any kind of disturbance to that soil, again landsliding will be caused. So when you're considering the SDG goals, we are also thinking about the carbon neutrality, a carbon footprint reduction. Everything is coming to a point. Recently, when we went for a visit in a cement factory, they told that recently they have paid a lot. Some lakhs as a tax towards carbon footprint. Like they are not meeting the proper carbon footprint, so they are paying some tax. It seems. So these are actions we are taking in order to achieve our SDG goals at least by 2030. At least we are trying to make it up. So how much it is actually successful in all the part of India? Together we are working not only in Kerala. Of course, we have participants from other states too. So obviously we can speak to them also. Like considering the waste disposal in other states, again we have problems in case of dumping of waste. They are not properly recycled. So I think in Kerala we are not facing much issues like waste disposal because we are. I think we are better in recycling. In other states, I have seen waste disposal is again a big issue. So how we will be going to attain this SDG goals by 2030? Like maintaining this carbon neutrality. How long we will be taking it?
Yeah, it is difficult to attain this SDGs by 2030. That is one line answer to that question. But still we can progress to an extent. And this progress depends upon our activities. And the base thing which is required is understanding. As you said, soil is a problem in Wayanad and water is a problem in Kuttanad. I see it in the other way. The soil is a boon in Wayanad and the water is a boon in Kuttanad. Because of water, Kuttanad is there. Because of soil and the hills, the Wayanad is there. But are we protecting it? Are we rightly utilizing it? Are we enriching it? Is the question. And for this protection, enrichment, and right utilization, what we require is education. And waste disposal, it is there in Kerala also very much. We have seen that in the 2018 flood, the water bodies returned everything back to us, including the sea. The sea also has returned all those plastic waste to us. Whatever you have dumped inside the sea, they brought it back. So this issue is there. Particularly this landfilling is not possible in many parts of the state because of the high water table. So we need to address this issue also very precisely, very attentively. And as a general thing, what I can say is that we can reduce the waste. Rather than just addressing the waste as a problem, why can't we reduce? Reduce is the best option. Now, maybe some waste is inevitable, let's say, but nothing is inevitable, I would say. Still, if some waste is being produced, how to address that, how to recycle that? There are many methods available. And if you go on speaking regarding the waste disposal and waste recycling, that is leading towards another, say, seminar, the whole seminar. So I'm not trying to address that. The interventions are happening in many other parts of the country also with regard to the water, with regard to soil, with regard to waste treatment, with regard to solid waste, with regard to water, with regard to sewage water treatment. So some of those things which we also have been experimenting over here is the common STPs, the sewage treatment plants. If local treatment is not possible, then we can go for common. But of course, the decentralized treatment is better. But we have to address whether the whatever is available as decentralized, the DWAT system, for example, are they really addressing the issue, or are they really working properly? They may be, or they may not be. So when we surveyed this LP for the decentralized, for just ensuring the decentralized water management system, the DWAT system, we have seen that more than 80% of the toilets are, or of the septic tanks are not working properly. There is leakage into the water bodies. There is there are cracks in the concrete or in the walls of such kind of tanks. There are many other issues. Sometimes there may be soak pits only, and the soak pits are directly flowing this black water and the grey water into the water bodies. So this has to be addressed very precisely. Are we able to address this issue like a community issue, like a global issue, like a societal issue? So for that, what is essential? Again, I go back to the same thing, right? Understanding is essential for every human being regarding everything. So when I say I am in harmony, does it depend upon the harmony of the other human being? Does it also extend towards a harmony in the society and a harmony in the nature? Whenever I am doing something, am I also addressing that everything is belonging to me, not just that my belongings and my premises, but the road belongs to me, the water body belongs to me, the other person's plot is also belonging to me. So it is my responsibility not to harm the part which is outside my premises or everywhere. So if I can take that as a responsibility, maybe from the school, as a human being, if I can ensure the school children taking this as a responsibility and taking this to their home, then very slowly the proposals can be spread or can be proliferated or can be extended to the parents, to the people in the house and to the people in society. But much work is required. And whenever we make a project, maybe in the school or the colleges with students or otherwise, even if it is a research project, this can be based on addressing one of the SDGs, at least one of the SDGs, and not just addressing it peripherally, but addressing it at the root. That's what I can generally. There are many specific interventions, but maybe we can talk regarding that later. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I hope that is all with the questions. There are few questions in the chat box. We will just discuss only what is related to the topic which sir have taken now. Otherwise, he will be going out of the topic. So, which technique is used in sustainable polder filtration to kill or remove microorganisms? That was one question from Dr. Elsa, ma'am.
Yeah, to kill microorganisms, in fact, it is not very easy. If you mean this kind of E. coli bacteria, the kind of microorganisms, to an extent, adsorption technique is possible. Like this roots of the water hyacinth. Water hyacinth is a weed over there, and it is growing as a weed over there in the water bodies because nutrients are available. The pesticides and the other fertilizers are becoming like nutrients for this, so they absorb. And this factor can be made use of as a technology. So when we try to find out the absorption possibilities of the biochar of this water hyacinth, the root of the water hyacinth, we could see that it has certain potential to absorb or adsorb when it is made into minute particles. So the ash of this water hyacinth, the root of the water hyacinth, can be made use of as one of the programs or one of the methodologies. Another thing is we have rice husk waste. So we can heat that, we can make it into powder, and we can also make use of that as activated carbon to adsorb. So whatever is available as locally, that's what I'm trying to put forth, not just some other techniques. So you can go for some say costly techniques like RO treatment, but that's not possible over here. So whatever water is there in the paddy fields, we try to partially treat that and try to flow that to the water bodies. That's what is being envisaged. It is not a complete treatment. So we have to test it and we have to get the results out of that. So what is the level of BOD that is being reduced? What is the level of these pathogens that's being reduced? What is the level of this physical and chemical impurities that's being reduced? We have to find out that. And then we have to make kind of the treatment system. So there are many possibilities, but whatever I was just trying to propose were like indigenous techniques, or it is combined with whatever is available in the locality, and we can make it like a methodology, like a treatment process. This possibility is what I'm trying to explore. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I think that is all for the topics related to the subject, it seems. Okay, so I think we should keep another session for this e-waste
There are a lot of
management
things.
and
I can see there are many
sustainable. Yeah.
things in the chat box, but we
We
need to
have
have another
just
session for this.
gone through only a small layer of the topic, it seems. So many people have started asking a lot of doubts. So that is, it's time for us to wind up with the session. So thank you, Sunil sir. Thank you, Dr. Sunil sir, for being with us. Again, one more session we have finished with the Royal family. So thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm sitting in Mangalapuram, Mangalore, and I'm here for another faculty development program. So the whole day I was in the workshop. You may be knowing that, like from 8:30 in the morning to 5:30 in the evening, I was there in the workshop hall conducting these sessions quite consistently. And in the night, I was not very sure about the availability of Wi-Fi connection over here, but fortunately, it was available to a minimum level of extent. I hope I was audible throughout the session. I hope my video was visible. I hope my content,
Yes,
the
everything
slides
was
also
visible.
visible.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I thank the management of Royal College of Engineering. I thank the organizers of this Atal FTP, and I also congratulate all the participants of this FTP for a wonderful time. And thank you for all these questions. Maybe whenever we meet later, we can have a long discussion upon these environmental issues, because the issues are many, technologies are also many, but are we addressing these issues at the root is a question. We can ask this to each and every one of us. And with our technologies, can we make solutions ourselves, indigenous solutions or solutions with whatever is available at the locality? That is a final line which I would like to propose. And thank you, everyone, once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So, for the participants, for tomorrow's schedule, we need to remind you about the tomorrow's schedule. We will start our 11th session by 2 p.m. So, kindly be available by 2 p.m. So, we'll be having our continuously 11, 12, and 13 sessions, followed by our valedictory session. By 7:30, again, we will be having the session. So, kindly be available by 2 p.m. All the participants. So, good night. Have a nice day.